ESPN in St. Louis for 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. That's the applause of one Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
I mean, listen to the crowd in here, Randy.
Oh, man, yeah. Brooke Grimsley is back. Welcome back.
Hello. Did you guys bring me any gear or anything? I was waiting for my gold glove because I saw the photo and I sent it to you guys. I said, I'll take one of those behind you.
Right.
Brooke, where I'm coming from, the person who goes on the trip brings back the presents.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, I'll get back to you guys on that one.
We did not pick up a gold glove for you, Brooke, when we were at the Rawlings Experience on Friday at Westport. And by the way, if you get to Westport, if you get
really
to St. Louis,
cool.
it's very cool. You got to check it out. But no five-finger discounts even for us. Yeah.
Brooke, I was talking to them. I'm like, listen, I see there's a glove in there that's made entirely of Swarovski crystals. I know there's a price tag of $25,000 on it, but I really think Brooke would just really appreciate it. They didn't go for it.
Oh, man.
I know, sorry.
We got to work on your pitch because that's what happened there.
Right.
That's the
That's
problem.
a me thing. That's a me thing.
Yeah. You also missed out on the bread-sliced Cinnamon Crunch Panera bagels.
Ooh.
Which are awesome. But apparently over the weekend, you didn't need any bread-sliced Panera Cinnamon Crunch bagels.
No, Randy, I say this just about every weekend, but this will be the last weekend of me breaking my diet, in air quote. Hopefully my personal trainer has her ears covered this morning or is just not paying attention this morning. But yeah, this is supposed to be the last weekend. I said that last weekend and the weekend before that it'd be the last time I ate really, really bad. But I found myself, there would just be a treat around. I came home, my parents had donuts there, and then there's other treats, and it's just like, well, you got to have one because then it's rude if you don't have one.
It really is.
And then it just kind of kept tumbling and tumbling downward after that. But this really is the last weekend of eating bad, Randy. I promise. I have my fingers crossed.
I'm counting weeks for you here.
Oh, no.
1, 2.
Don't do that to
3.
me.
Okay, you got this week, next week. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, Brooke, you're fine. You got 8 weeks.
I got 8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, you're golden.
From here on out.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Okay, good.
Clean diet.
I will help you. I will.
No, you won't.
No, I will. I promise. I will. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. I better start helping.
Why do I feel like you're going to start bringing in donuts every day?
Maybe
For 8 weeks straight.
Yeah, we got a fun show. We got a lot. Yesterday was a lot of fun because throughout the course of the day, the 3 of the 4 St. Louis teams were on national TV. The Blues were on TNT. The Battlehawks were on ABC, and then St. Louis City SC was on Fox. That's right? And then you had the Cardinals on Bally, and you had the Masters going on. What an incredible sports weekend it was here in St. Louis.
It really was. And on TNT, you had Craig Berube on there.
Yeah.
I really enjoy him on the broadcast. I really do.
Here's the thing. If you're a coach, you're going to get fired. I mean, you could even win a Stanley Cup for a franchise that's never won a Stanley Cup and get fired. But in TV, he's so good, he could be there for a long time.
He really could, but I'm sure he will be a coach again soon.
I think he will.
But what a weekend it was. I mean, you talked about the Masters and, of course, Scottie Scheffler winning that one.
Scottie Scheffler.
No big surprise. I felt like that was the big prediction anyways of what was going to happen. But still, you had Tiger Woods in his Sunday red. Just a classic moment there. Not the finish that you wanted, but still to have him there at the Masters at that point is so special.
Making the cut was awesome. Being the player that made the cut, that finished last among those that made the cut, not so awesome.
No.
He finished plus 16. He finished in 60th place, but he still takes home $44,400.
Oh, he needs it.
Yeah. Tiger does need that.
He does.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little golf as we go along, all the things that happened over the course of the weekend. Start with the Cardinals in Arizona. They won the opener on Friday night, had a 6-0 lead. So, Brooke, I'm at the hockey game, and it's 6-0. Cardinals, and I leave the hockey game, 6-0 Cardinals. I get home, and it's 6-6. I said, WTF? But then the Cardinals, once I re-engaged, they scored 3 and won the game by a score of 9-6. So that was great because on Saturday we got 60-cent drinks at Mobile on the Run. By the way, Brooks got her Mobile on the Run
show it to the YouTube
cup.
camera.
Yeah, there you go. You can join us on the Air Alliance Team Studio Cam. Just go to youtube.com and type in 101 ESPN STL. Then Saturday, base running errors prevented the Cardinals from scoring more. They lost 4-2, but they were 2 of 10 with runners in scoring position. Paul Goldschmidt running on contact. I generally don't have a problem with that play, but man, in that particular situation, I don't think Goldie should have been going, even though he did get into the rundown. But the Cardinals couldn't score with runners at second and third and one out. Couldn't get out of that one. And then they had another play where Masyn Winn, on a line drive, gets caught off of second base, and that wound up being a double play, and the Cardinals lose 4-2, when it would have been, with a team that is strong fundamentally, easy to win that game.
It really was.
The offensive fundamentals were not great.
No. And then you move ahead to Sunday's game. And that's, I think, the biggest story of the weekend there.
I agree. Miles Michaelis faced the minimum through 4 innings, and then the D-backs explode for 5 in the 5th and win it by a score of 5-0. And Zach Gallen, remember that name?
Oh, that sounds oddly familiar, Randy.
He was part of the Marcell Ozuna trade, along with Sandy Alcantara. Gallen subsequently traded by the Marlins to the Diamondbacks in exchange for Jazz Chisholm. And the Cardinals lose to Zach Gallen and the Diamondbacks yesterday, 5-0, and lose 2 out of 3 over the weekend.
Yikes.
Yeah, and the offense was just non-existent. It's going to be non-existent against Zach Gallen. He was second in the National League Cy Young voting last year, and he's really good.
But here's the thing, though, is that when you're starting to see an ongoing theme here of the offense not living up to the potential it needs to be, the pitching is what it is. And Miles Michaelis, just going back to his start, I feel like he's going to be a Jekyll and Hyde performance. One is going to be great, one is going to be not so great. Also, was it the right decision to bring Andre Pallante into that game? One thing we'll never know. Randy, you love hearing this, but he's looking to get the ground ball. It didn't work out in that manner yesterday.
No.
But another layer of this is the fact that, too, you need a good infield defense. And you do have that, but Masyn Winn wasn't in the game.
Right.
So is Pallante the right move to come into that situation?
I think the Cardinals were in a situation there where you're in the 5th. That's kind of the reason that's Pallante's role. And I wonder if the same thing were to happen again. I wonder if the Cardinals might go to Ryan Fernandez, because the death ball clearly isn't killing anybody.
No.
And I think you have other options down there. You've got your late inning guys. You've got your 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys, right? In Gallegos, in JoJo Romero, and in Helsley. So you have the rest of that bullpen. You have 5 pitchers to choose from. You have to use Pallante at some point, and he just didn't do it. But he has the capability of being good. That's got to be really troubling and hard for Ollie to never know what you're going to get out of the guy.
No, and that's the thing, is that you don't. I guess yesterday's game just felt very deja vu of 2023, where your offense still isn't showing up in the manner that you need it to. This needs to be a top 10 offense, don't you agree, for this whole big picture plan for the Cardinals to work out, because your pitching is going to be what it is, and I think it still is an improvement, but you still need your offense to be able to show up. And it is more than Masyn Winn not being in the lineup. Look, if you might be screwed if you need your 8th hole hitter to be able to carry this team offensively, and that's not what I'm saying here, but it needs everybody coming together. And at this point, the middle of your order is still not doing its part.
That's, to me, the big key, is that yesterday Goldie goes 0 for 4, Gorman goes 1 for 4, Arenado goes 1 for 4, and Gorman struck out twice, the other 2 once each. They just aren't pulling their weight at the moment, and that's got to change if the Cardinals are going to be better. And we're going to talk more about Masyn Winn at the bottom of this hour. The Blues lose to Carolina 5-2 on Friday. They allowed 2 late empty net goals and were eliminated from the playoffs when Vegas won later that night. So the Blues out of the playoffs yesterday as they host their home finale against Seattle and win it by a score of 4-1. Blues finished the home season 25-14-2, wrap up their season Wednesday night in Dallas. Brooke, before the season started, Doug Armstrong said, I'd like to be in the hunt for the 3rd spot in the Central Division. I think we're a team that's in the middle of the middle third. There are 30 teams in the league, and the Blues are 15th right now.
It's exactly what they were saying.
Exactly what they were saying.
Is that a little creepy or eerie, or do you appreciate the honesty and transparency there?
I really do appreciate that, and it reinforces to me again that Doug Armstrong knows what he's talking about. He recognizes, because of some unforced errors on their part, self-enforced errors. What do we call it in tennis? Self-inflicted errors? Whatever you make your own mistake, right? Unforced errors. There you go. Anyway, the Blues have made those with some of the contracts that they've had. You never had an unforced error in tennis, did you?
Never.
That's why she didn't know it.
Yeah.
I did. You just beat me to the punch.
Yeah. But
look, I got to get some more coffee in me.
But they are a middle of the pack team from a talent standpoint. And now this is where they're headed. They're going to stick to what they have right now, but they're going to wind up in Dallas. They're going to finish with the 15th or 16th best record in the league, and they're going to be exactly what they said they were going to be. And it's going to be a young team that's on the ascent.
It is, and you have a lot of positives. One, I don't think that anybody thought that Jake Neighbors, including maybe himself, thought that he was going to do what he was able to do this season. He was a revelation for the Blues. Robert Thomas making significant strides as not only a two-way player, but taking on that number one center role and handling those top-line minutes. That was a major jump forward for him.
100%. And the other part of this, are you buying what you've seen from Jordan Kyrou in the last 10 games?
I want to, Randy. I want to.
I am.
It's working. Here's the thing: is that it is working. This is what you're wanting to see when you give Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas that big of a contract and all that money. This is what you're wanting to see.
Yeah.
Now, is it a little tough because you know that it was getting towards the end of the season while they were still in the playoff hunt? It looked kind of dim, the possibility of them making the playoffs. So you could possibly discount it for that. But either way, I think that you have to give Jordan Kyrou credit for what he's doing here towards the end.
And I really think, now, is next year the year that they're going to win a Stanley Cup? Probably not. But
come on, Randy.
They're a number two center and a rugged defenseman away from being a really good team that finishes in the top three in their division.
Now, those two things you listed are not easy to find.
They are not. No.
They don't grow on trees.
So, like Mo, Army's going to have to find people that want to play in St. Louis. And by the way, Chaser, who did analysis yesterday, he was awesome, but was talking about that, how you have to get guys where rather than somebody who can go play for Columbus or Dallas or St. Louis, says St. Louis is a place I want to play. You need somebody who wants to wear that blue note on their chest.
And now I'm interested to see what Doug Armstrong does because he is known for pulling off some magic. Now, last season he did try to move Torrey Krug. Is that something that he revisits again, or is it another defenseman that he tries to move on from? Is this going to be the first offseason that he buys out a contract? I think they need to get a little bit creative here if they want to keep it in a competitive retool rather than a full-on rebuild.
And I think I can be good without Torrey Krug and or Justin Falk, taking nothing away from the quality of the player because they're pretty good players, more than serviceable players. But do I think the St. Louis Blues can succeed without those two on their roster? I do.
Yes, I do as well. And the thing is Justin Falk, I don't know if it was injuries with him throughout the season. This was not a great overall season for him.
They got him as a proactive measure with Petro leaving, thinking he'd be a replacement for Petro. He's never going to be a replacement for Petro.
No.
And that's the way I'm looking at it. Is he ever going to be a guy that controls the play? No. He's a nice player. But the guy that controls the play now is Parayko, and they need somebody a little bit more rugged than Krug and Falk are. So I'm just looking at it that way. A couple of other things. Yesterday, Klauss scored in the 58th minute. Yeah. Santa Claus is coming to town. City over Austin FC 1-0 on the pitch over at City Park.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Got to get those W's.
Mr. Klauss.
Now, 2-5-1. That would be two victories, 5 draws, and 1 defeat in the West. In 8th place in the Western Conference in MLS. UFL, the Battlehawks hold off the San Antonio Brahmas 31-24. Late defensive stand for the Hawks. At the Masters, Scottie Scheffler, no surprise, the winner. He finishes -11, 4-stroke winner over Ludwig Oberg, who spells that name A-B-E-R-G, Oberg. I don't get it, but he does. There's a little O above the A.
It's not confusing whatsoever.
No, not at all.
No.
So Ludwig, I'm just going to go with Ludwig finishing in 2nd place.
There you go.
So, and Scottie Scheffler, no surprise, right? He's the best going right now.
He really is. It's not a surprise whatsoever. I didn't realize, just because I feel like he's been around for so long, that he's just 27 years old.
Amazing, yeah.
For some reason, that shocked me.
And Katie Carricker came up with this great stat. He has never won beyond April. He's never won in May in his whole career.
Really?
He's got 9 wins, and they've all come in January, February, March, April. He's never won in May, June, July, or August.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty amazing. So
that is.
Let's see if he can get another major here.
Thank you, Katie Carricker.
Yeah, that's a great stat. Fantastic.
like that one.
Yeah. So there you have it. We're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, 3 things we love from the weekend with Brooke, Randy, and Matthew on 101 ESPN. Matthew and Randy, and 3 things we loved about the weekend.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me, Randy, and you brought this up in our last segment, Klauss getting a goal. But this was not just any goal, Randy. Obviously, he needed this goal just for himself, but he also promised his wife, Mrs. Klauss, that he was going to score a goal for her on her birthday, and that was her birthday. So what a special moment that was, that he was able to gift her and also live up to his word of that present he was going to get her.
That's pretty cool. It's great, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure he got her more than that for her birthday, but still, to go and say that, hey, I'm going to score a goal for your birthday, and then he goes out and do it, I thought that was a really cute moment.
Pretty cool. Brooke, I am a fan of the performance. A lot of people don't like blowouts or dominance or excellence. I'm a big fan of somebody putting on a virtuoso performance. And Scottie Scheffler has become that guy in golf. Yes, he won by 4 strokes, and no, he really wasn't threatened yesterday. But to see a player who is at the top of his game and the top of everybody's game dominate like he did for the last couple of days at the Masters was pretty cool. And I hope he's able to continue it. I hope that he's able to have a run like Tiger did, because I think golf needs a dominant player like that, especially the PGA side of golf. And I think Scottie Scheffler is the only guy right now that's capable of being that guy.
And I think that's the key point there on the PGA side of this, because we know all. It felt like the Masters this weekend was a getaway from all the drama that's going on behind the scenes. So I hate to bring that back up to the forefront, but it is still something that is just looming over golf right now, of what's going on with LIV, what's going on with the PGA Tour. And it was just nice for a weekend to get away from that. And on the PGA side, to have Scottie Scheffler do what he did.
He was great.
Number 2.
Well, my number 2, sticking with the Masters, is going to be at a place where they are forever connected. Tiger Woods and Vern Lundquist just had that special moment on the 16th hole where you saw Tiger go over and just shake the hand of Vern Lundquist. It's hard to believe that he is working his 40th and final Masters this past weekend, and he was watching from a chair nearby, and that to me was just such a sentimental moment. Vern Lundquist is one of my favorite all-time broadcasters, and just to see Tiger pay the respect to him in that way, it was just such a touching and special moment, and it brought a little tear to my eye, Randy.
Very classy on Tiger's part. Now, the internet is undefeated, as we know, and there's a great photo out there of a few years ago.
You shared. No. Randy, I'm talking about a sentimental moment. Don't do this. Go ahead.
So, a photo of Tiger's Escalade crashed into a tree and all dented up, and then you see the tree, and all you can see is a hand sticking out. It's Vern Lundquist's hand, and Tiger shaking it, but the trees look very similar.
And you don't see Vern, so then you just see a hand from the tree.
And the caption is "Apology accepted."
Oh my word, Randy! I was just talking about his sentimental. Randy, that deserves a Randy, because here's the thing: talking about a very sentimental moment with Vern Lundquist and Tiger Woods, and then of course you bring that up. It was funny, I will say.
Yeah, it was well
I did
done.
giggle when you sent me that photo.
Pretty great. Brooke, we have heard, we know that we're a great sports town. It was really the book report that served as a relocation proposal for the St. Louis Rams to NFL owners who apparently just don't have any idea what they're doing, or they don't read relocation proposals. But one of the things it said is that St. Louis is not only a baseball town, that it's not a great sports town. We see a team that's eliminated from the playoffs in the Blues on Friday night. They get eliminated, sold out completely. Yesterday, again, sold out completely. Another 22-5 over at City Park. We see the Battlehawks draw like they do, even though they weren't in town over the weekend. Every single golf event that we have is record-setting. Pretty much every sporting event that we have, we sell every ticket that's available. I really loved, again, seeing what a spectacular sports town this is. I wonder how many NHL teams that were out of the playoffs drew full house crowds over the course of the weekend.
I'm not sure, but here's the thing that, too, they were able to get a win in front of the home crowd for the last time this season. And so that was really special to see. That shows that even though you're very frustrated, I think the fans here are very fair in the way that you can be frustrated, but you're still going to show up for your team and show support because you want better moving forward.
Yeah, and the Blues have earned the benefit of the doubt in my mind. I'm confident that the Blues are going to be better. Will they be a Stanley Cup champion next year? No. But as the owner, the chairman, Tom Stillman, said that we're sticking to our plan, and they've got a different plan than they had before. They aren't going to trade for all of the guys that win a cup this time. They're going to draft and develop and try to build a franchise with sustainability.
And they have a lot of young talent. That's the thing, is that that you were able to see that this season.
Yeah.
Number 1.
My number 1 is that I had a great bridal shower this weekend. As you guys know, I ate way more food than I should have, but this is the last weekend. I'm saying this. I'm not going to say it again after next weekend. This is the last weekend of eating bad, Brady, I promise. But also, I hit a grand slam on getting gifts for all my friends' kids. So 3 of my bridesmaids, they all have children. One is 5, a boy that's 5, and then not going down the full line of all this. But I was so nervous, Randy, in the Target aisle, the kids aisle, just analyzing every single toy and trying to figure out which would work best for each kid. And it all worked out. They all love their toys. I even got them some Cardinals gear because some of them have started playing baseball. And so they were super excited about that. So grand slam for me on getting all the kids gifts. That was probably the most nervous I've ever been with getting somebody gifts.
Really?
Because you don't know. They could it might not be something a kid is into at that time, and you don't know that, and maybe they change their minds so quickly, I feel like, on things that they like. But it worked out.
I am so appreciative of people that think about gifts and put a lot of thought into it, because there's a lot of people that just go, they'll hop on Amazon or pick something up and not put thought into it. But I love people that think hard about picking out the right gift.
I probably think a little too hard about it, but I just want it to work out. I want them to associate me with good gifts.
So, Brooke, my number 1 of the weekend, I know is kind of weird, but the last time that Nolan Arenado had hit a home run was on my birthday last year, which is a long time ago, August 19th. Until Friday night, Nolan Arenado finally hit a home run, and it looked like it took the weight of the world off of his shoulders.
Yes.
And he did look better over the course of the weekend, and maybe he's getting that swing back. And I don't know if going to Oakland is a get well or not for the Cardinals, but it looks like for all of the big guys that need to start hitting, at least he's getting going a little bit. And I think Goldie is too. Now it's just a matter of finding their power strokes. They're getting on base. Now it's a matter of finding their power strokes.
You need them to provide a lot of power, because that's the thing that you're seeing currently right now, is that this offense needs to be able to get going. And it comes down to Goldie and Arenado maybe not being what you saw a few years ago, but at least getting to the point of bringing that power, because this is what that offense is missing right now for the Cardinals.
And can I give you, that's what we loved. Can I give you what I hated about the weekend?
Sure.
These people with the Fanatics jerseys are the worst. Okay? I don't know them personally, but they don't do their job well at all. You know, the Cardinals aren't going to have their baby blues until June.
I saw that.
Because Fanatics is incompetent. The jerseys that they have delivered are horrible, and the jerseys that we're supposed to have that look great are not even there. So come on, somebody at Fanatics, Josh Harris, we know who you are. You own the Washington Commanders. Be better, okay? You've got one job, to get people jerseys. That's one job. That's what Fanatics does. They're in the jersey business, and they can't even do that.
No, it's absolutely terrible. And here's the thing is that I tried to listen to Rob Manfred where he said, look, you're going to grow to like these a little bit better.
No,
I'm not, Randy, because when I also see a comparison of the jerseys prior to what we're seeing this year, it looks like a cheap knockoff. It really does.
Brooke, and you might have seen it last week, but the Cardinals have a promotion coming up for graduates where they're giving away a jersey that says 24, and above it says class of.
Yeah.
And their class of 24 giveaway jersey for graduates this year looks identical to what Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Masyn Winn, and Nolan Gorman, and Ryan Helsley, that they're all wearing. The class of letters are exactly like the letters that the major leaguers are wearing, and that is unacceptable.
It doesn't look good whatsoever.
No.
Somebody from the 3 and 4 texted in, Bryce Harper snuck in last season's jersey this weekend.
Oh, good for him.
Do you think some of the players maybe will start doing that as a part of a retaliation? Now, Bryce Harper can get away with doing that, but maybe not some of the less well-known players.
I hope they can, and I hope they kept jerseys. Harper, I'm sure, keeps jerseys, but I hope that some of the players did that and do that just to show us how ridiculous, and show Fanatics, especially in Philly, because that's where Harris is from, That's a good move on Bryce Harper's part, just to show him how ridiculous his company's product is.
I just think that you knew that this was coming on Fanatics side and on Major League Baseball side. Why would you not make sure that this rollout goes well? Getting the jerseys on time,
Yes.
making things that look quality. And I know that maybe that's not on par with Fanatics and what they like to do with their brand, but maybe you should be putting out a better product.
Oh, and by the way, Cardinals, Major League Baseball, jerseys not showing up until 3 months late. Welcome to our world with Fanatics.
They really aren't. Okay, they're treating the fans just like, the players just like the fans.
Exactly.
Maybe that's, no, there's no way to make this feel better. I'm trying to figure out some way, but yes, this is exactly what it's like dealing with Fanatics.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that's the worst thing about the weekend. Coming up, the Cardinals have now played a 10th of their season, 16 games, and Masyn Winn has only started 3/4 of them. Is that a problem? That's next on 101 ESPN. We all need gutters on our home. We all need good gutters on our home. The best gutters that you can get are from gutterpros.com. And if over the course of the last week or so, when we had that rain, your gutters just didn't perform like they should, if water wasn't going where it was supposed to go, you need to get in touch with gutterpros.com, G-U-T-T-E-R pros.com. A great St. Louis company. Their general sales manager, Dave Sylvester, is a great guy, born and raised in St. Louis and loves to take care of the St. Louis area. They've got a downtown facility, and they'll provide you a free estimate anywhere in the area. Within a 50-mile radius of their facility, they'll come out, provide you a free low-pressure estimate for new gutters. Whether your gutters are just looking bad, rusted out, maybe detaching from the home, or maybe they just aren't performing, Gutter Pros can help you out. And they're going to provide leaf protection if you need it. They're going to provide you soffit and fascia, which looks fantastic. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. So people in St. Louis that use Gutter Pros love Gutter Pros. And let me tell you, I can tell you, you'll love Gutter Pros too. If you need new gutters on your home for residential or commercial, go to gutterpros.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. It was a busy weekend for the Cardinals as they lose 2 of 3 in Arizona. They're still out on the West Coast as they face off against the Athletics, starting a 3-game series. Today it is an 8:40 first pitch. The Blues still have 1 game to go as they will play against the Stars to finish out their season later on this week. And STL City SC finally gets back in the W column. No more dropping points here as they take all 3 points in a 1-0 victory over Austin FC. Klauss also gets off the schneid as he scores his first goal in over 8 months. Also another big win, St. Louis Battlehawks 31, San Antonio Brahmas 24. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
There's a shot inside the bag, fair. Winn does it again. Ciani will score. Masyn around second. He's going to turn and burn and go to third. He'll make it there standing up. It's a triple and an 8-6 game.
The Cardinals have 1 player hitting over 300, and that's shortstop Masyn Winn, who leads the club with a 349 batting average, a 356 on base, a 465 slug. He's played a great shortstop, and he's 22 years old. However, there are 6 Cardinals that have more plate appearances so far than Masyn Winn, and it's not all related to the fact that he hits at the bottom of the lineup. Nolan Arenado has 69 plate appearances at the age of 33. Winn has 47. Brendan Donovan has come to the plate 67 times at the age of 27 and coming off of an injury last year. Winn has 47 plate appearances, 20 fewer than Donovan. Goldie has 66 plate appearances. So does Nolan Gorman. Victor Scott has 57 plate appearances, 10 more than Masyn Winn. And Walker, by the way, Jordan Walker has 50, 3 more. And Masyn Winn, of the Cardinals' 16 games so far, has only started 12 of those. With a player that's that young and that effective so far, I get where the Cardinals are coming from in wanting to preserve him, but they also need to look at the fact that he's 22 and Ozzie Smith wasn't getting this much time off at the age of 31, 32, 33 when he was playing shortstop for the Cardinals. I wonder why it's Masyn Winn that's getting all this time off to preserve his body. Why? For example, don't they have games where Brendan Donovan plays third and Nolan Arenado gets a day off, or Brendan Donovan plays first, or somebody else plays first, Wilson Contreras, and Paul Goldschmidt gets a day off? Why is it that Winn is the guy that needs days off on a regular basis?
This is the part that I just really don't understand. And look, I want to state this again. No, he's not the sole reason that your offense isn't able to provide what they need to do. I mean, that's something that we clearly have to point out. They were shut out for the first time this season. Miles Michaelis, once again, not getting the run support that he needs. But here's the thing, is that you also can't rely on your 8th-hole hitter to account for the majority of your offense. I just don't understand, I guess, the load management of Winn, because you mentioned this, Randy. He took a seat for the 4th time in 16 games this season, and he's off to a hot start. He leads the team with a 349 average. He also has 5 RBI, 2 steals, and I don't really understand what's going on here. So we do have Ollie Marmol. He had some quotes with John Denton of MLB.com yesterday, and he was asked this question about why they are resting Masyn Winn so much, and this is what Ollie had to say. Masyn needs a day. We talked about it, and his body can use it. He's swinging it well, he's playing good defense, and he's running the bases, but in conversation with him today would be a good day for him to have a day off. This is going to be a long season for him, and keeping him fresh will be important. Our communication has been good, and we agreed today would be a good day for him to rest. Now, the key part for me here is where he's talking about his body specifically. And his body can use it is the exact quote from Ollie Marmol. When you hear that, the panic alarms start to go off. And I'm not saying that this is what's going on here, but are you worried about an injury? What is going on here? Why do you think that he says specifically his body can use it in that portion of the quote?
Maybe he is a guy, number one, maybe he's deferential to Ollie. And maybe if Ollie says, hey, do you want a day off? He's thinking, oh, he wants me to take a day off because they want Brandon Crawford to play. Maybe he's just being deferential and saying, yeah, I'll take the day off. But maybe that body just is not prepared for the rigors of a 162-game season, and they know it. I don't know how much he worked out during the offseason. I don't know how prepared he is.
He looks prepared.
He sure does.
Because every time he's out there, he looks completely fine to me.
He does. Now, there's something to be said for the way you play in the first month, and when you have to play in St. Louis when it's 100 degrees in June, July, and August, we've seen guys get gassed. 2 years ago, we mentioned early in the first segment, Arenado and Goldschmidt were gassed at the end of the 2022 season, and that's one of the reasons that they weren't effective in the playoffs. Tony was always great about that, and people hated Tony's getaway day lineups because you got no chance of winning. Then they'd win, and Tony would say, well, it's kind of like winning a doubleheader here because not only did we win with our getaway day lineup, but these guys are going to be good to go for August and September and hopefully October. I would hope, Brooke, that the Cardinals' philosophy here in giving Masyn Winn days off in April is having him fresh for August and September.
That's what I hope, too. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to make sense of this because, as you mentioned, he's 22 years old. He's completely healthy. In general, how many games do you expect for him to play throughout his career? And I'm saying each season.
Each season. Well, my hope this year was that he would be 130, and is that he'll be a 135, 140 game guy. And if he doesn't get hurt, I still think he's going to wind up playing 140 games.
And that's the thing is that he seems completely fine and healthy to me. He looks great out there when he's available. And also, honestly, he's your best defensive shortstop option that you have on the team currently. Brandon Crawford, I understand that we're going to see him time to time. But specifically, when you look at that game yesterday, when you are bringing in Andre Palante to induce the ground ball, and you have Brandon Crawford instead of Masyn Winn. And here's the thing, Brandon Crawford, this is a very short sample size, a small sample size for him, but he doesn't look great. And that was the concern about him last year, is that he was declining, and then you're starting to see some of that carry over. Now, the other part of this is that the Cardinals said going in the season that it was important to keep Brandon Crawford sharp. And so maybe this is what this is just early on, is they're keeping him sharp. But still, when you are 0-5 in series finales, and specifically the last 3 were rubber games, I want to see you put out your best lineup out there. I want to see you close out the series with a win. I just want to see that. Is that too much to ask for?
No, and as you said, especially with Goldschmidt, Arenado, Gorman, not as productive as they need to be, maybe keep the hot hand in there. Now, one other point that we should make is that turf in Arizona is not the best. It's an artificial turf that is hard, and it could be that the Cardinals just wanted to keep Winn off of that turf for a Sunday and then get him on the natural grass in Oakland for the next 3 days. But I don't think it's unreasonable for fans to wonder what the heck is going on. I would feel differently if there had been load management for the older players. But it just doesn't resonate with me to provide the load management for somebody who's 22 when your 33 and 36-year-olds are your top 2 at back or plate appearance guys.
And here's the thing is, maybe in the Cardinals' minds, they're saying, well, look, he is performing well with this load management, so it is working out to plan. And it seems like Aldi Marmol keeps referring to this plan, so maybe it is just acclimating him to a full season of games, considering that he only came up in September last year. Now, from the 3-4, rest him against lesser teams. Oakland is terrible. That lineup yesterday was terrible. I do get that. And that's the part that is a little bit confusing to me, is that I would like to see him in those games where you know that you need to close out the series. I want to see them be able to close out the series with a win. And it is important to note here that Masyn Winn, once again, is not your scapegoat in this situation. We're talking about the Cardinals not being able to produce offensively. Just going back to what's the big concern right now with your bats going cold, this offense, we said this going the season, needs to be a top 10 offense. So this is where they're at right now, Randy, in all of Major League Baseball, 23rd in OPS, 21st in runs scored. Goldie is still hitting 193 with a 583 OPS. And we have seen in his career that he is able to get hot as the weather gets hotter here too, but it is concerning when you haven't had Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt be exactly what you need them to be in the middle of your lineup.
And it's very early again. A 10th of the season has been played. But Paul Goldschmidt's peripheral numbers are scarily like Matt Carpenter when he fell off the cliff. Carpenter had that great year in 2018, and then 2019 he just fell off the cliff. And you hope that that's not the case with Goldie. One other point to be made here, Brooke. Before the season started, you and I and Danny did a segment about the Cardinals player that they could least afford to lose. Mm-hmm. Remember who I said?
I'm trying to remember.
I said Masyn Winn.
Yeah. Because
he's their only shortstop, and he can be an offensive force. I think he's extraordinarily important. I would love to. I get the reasons. Not that I agree with him. I get the reasons that they're sitting him. But if I were in charge, that wouldn't be happening. You give the guy off a day a week, and if you have an off day like the Cardinals had on Thursday, that can be his off day. But 26 games, give him a day off a week, and then he plays the rest of the time.
I agree with you. That's the thing, is that it's a little confusing to me how frequent it has been early on. And maybe that's just in their minds getting him ready. They have a bigger plan that we don't know fully about. When I heard about, just giving his body a rest, it seems like it was a mutual decision by Alde Marmol and Masyn Winn. And they maybe do have a big plan here. But going back to just closing things out in series finales, and we were talking about they're now 0-5 in series finales. Each of the last 3 were rubber games. It feels like sometimes these getaway games are turning into giveaway games. And maybe that's the part that is disturbing or just frustrating me the most, is the best way to put that, probably. Because I also hear Alde Marmol say in his post-game comments that he wants to win and he's doing everything possible to win. But then when sometimes you see the lineup formed in that way, and I see a guy like Masyn Winn, who is your hottest hitter when you're needing some sort of offense from this team right now, some sort of spark, that's the part that's a little bit confusing to me.
I can tell you, and I don't know Masyn Winn, but I can tell you with 95% certainty that after Masyn Winn went 2 for 4 on Friday and 2 for 4 on Saturday, he didn't want to sit on Sunday.
Yeah.
Hot hitters don't want to sit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that conversation really went from the 636, and this is a good point. Once Tommy comes back, he'll stop getting as many days off because you'll have a safer backup option. Do you think that will be the case?
No, I think Tommy Edman's going to be their center fielder. I think, and they said they didn't want to move him around. Now, maybe that will change and he might not be back until the All-Star break.
It really seems like it at this point.
But I think that when and if Tommy Edman does return, that they want him to be their center fielder. And I would think that there was probably some concession made, and things change, to Brandon Crawford when they brought him in to keep him around for the whole season. I just kind of have that feeling that other people will go by the wayside and Crawford will wind up being here for the whole season. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Tioli coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want a tantalizing lunch today, I want you to head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Take advantage of the coolest and best patio in St. Louis and have a well-prepared lunch or happy hour or dinner. You will absolutely love the food at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have these great chicken Caesar wraps that I love, and I always have tater tots with them because they have great tater tots. And don't forget the great trashed wings. Have them with their signature golden sauce over at Fenton Bar and Grill, or have them with some ranch, a St. Louis thing, and just enjoy a fabulous meal with great people. Megan will be there. Kelly will be there. Say hi to Colleen and to the whole gang. The manager, Chuck, I think will be by this afternoon. And you're just going to have a great time. And you're going to be talking sports with all the sports over the weekend here in St. Louis. The Fenton Bar and Grill and the other customers there are the place to be and the place to talk sports. It's a fun place. It's an enjoyable place, and they have an absolutely breathtaking menu that you will love. The Fenton Bar and Grill is on Rudder Road. Just head to the soccer park and follow Rudder Road to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com. And when you stop by, please tell them that Randy sent you. Brooke, Matthew, and Randy, the opening drive on 101 ESPN on a sunny, warm Monday in St. Louis. And it's time for Tioli. Get your text in, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Okay, this is for both of you. Take it or leave it with the Oklahoma City Thunder earning the number one seed in the NBA's Western Conference. By the end of these playoffs, I will know when I see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren on a commercial.
I'll take it.
It is wild that they ended up being the number one seed.
Crazy.
And then the stars of that team, and Randy was like, these college players, I don't even know who they are. I'll take it. I'll take it.
You have two Jalen Williams on that team.
There's nothing not to love about the team. They're the youngest team to ever secure a number one seed. Just their average age on the roster this year is 23.96 years old. They're not even 24 years old, and they're the number one seed in the best conference in the league. That's incredible.
Can I have a name drop moment just for a second? I got to cover Jalen Williams. There's two Jalen Williams, so it's the one that's not, it's spelled with a Y-N, to clarify here. That's very confusing that you draft two Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
And I was able to cover Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe when they were in high school, and so it's just really special to see both of them. I remember Isaiah Joe was finishing out, I believe it was his senior year before he went on to play college basketball, and Jalen Williams is coming up, and he was already massive. And I remember his high school coach saying, all right, he's the next one. We just got to work on his shooting a little bit, because he was so big, but he needed to focus a little bit more on his shooting technique. So it's just so nice to see both of them doing well. I still keep in touch with them. So I'm somewhat of a fan of the Thunder.
Oh, man, you should be. It's a very likable team. By the way, I wonder.
They're fun.
Yeah, no, they are. I wonder if Adam Silver was rooting for Phoenix to be in the play-in. I guess you want to keep as many good teams in the playoffs as possible, but you've got LeBron and the Lakers and Steph and the Warriors both in the play-in among the four teams. So there's going to be a lot of action, and the next 4 days will be fun, next 3 days. And the NBA playoff tournament can be heard here on 101 ESPN on the 19th. So we'll have that for you. By the way, in the other side, on the East, you've got Embiid in the Sixers, Jimmy Butler and the Heat, and Trae Young and the Hawks. Those are all in the play-in, too. So the play-in has a lot of star power this year.
They do. All right, take it or leave it with this one. I brought this up earlier, but I just want to get everybody else's take on this. While you would love to see him behind a bench soon in the NHL, you actually enjoy Craig Berube on the broadcast even more.
I'm going to take that. He's really, really good. And maybe he becomes a TV star and doesn't need to get into the rigors. What does he's won a Stanley Cup. What does he really have to do in coaching anymore?
I guess continue and try to win another Stanley Cup. He's really good at coaching, and that's the thing. I just like during the broadcast, because a lot of people, I feel like nationally, only got to see the very kind of intense version of Craig Berube. But you know, on the media side, Randy, he's hilarious. He has a dry sense of humor, and you're able to see that a little bit more during the broadcast. I'll retweet it on social media, but they did an interview with Braden Shin after the game, and they were like, what is your best Craig Berube story? And Braden Shin, you could tell, thinks the world of Craig Berube, and he talked about how he just would really lighten up the room, and how I guess they had some funny sauna stories as well, because he would ride a bike in the sauna and all the different kind of stuff, and Berube was able to react to that during the broadcast, and you were able to just see that different side of him that I think we have seen, but maybe not everybody else has seen across the league.
He'll be great on TV, and if TNT is smart, one of the reasons that it took forever for John Gruden to come back to coaching in the NFL is because he was making NFL coaching money while doing TV. And I know it's, well, no, it wouldn't be hard for them to pay Berube NHL coaching money to be on TV. If I were TNT, I would do it.
Yeah.
Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
Take it or leave it. Cards sweep the A's.
I'm going to leave it. They have Paul Blackburn in the finale of the series. He's a pretty good pitcher. So I'm going to leave it. I don't think the Cardinals are a sweeping team this year.
Does it feel a little weird that this will likely be the final season or series in Oakland for the Cardinals?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's true, because now they're going to be in Sacramento.
Oh,
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. Tacos and margaritas are a very overrated combination.
Leave it. Overrated combination.
I'm going to leave it too. And I'm not a drinker, as you know, but Brooke, there's nothing that could include tacos that would be overrated about it.
Exactly. But the combination with margaritas and tacos are spectacular, Randy. I enjoy a ranch water with tacos.
Tell us about ranch water, Brooke.
You've never had a ranch water?
No.
So you could typically, and this is the best way to do it, Topo Chico, the water, that's soda water, and you pour a little bit out, put tequila in there, a lime. It's delicious.
Okay, tell us about Tequila Brooke.
Tequila?
Tequila Brooke. Is Tequila Brooke different than regular Brooke?
No, she's the same Brooke. Maybe some might say even more fun, Randy.
So, by the way, and we're closing in on, we're only 3 weeks away. I know we're 8 weeks away from Brooke's wedding, but we're three weeks away.
Please stop. I told you specifically before the show started, don't remind me, because I'll start panicking in my head.
But we're only 3 weeks away from Cinco de Mayo, and we don't want to talk to Polo
know
about Cinco de Mayo, because Polo says Cinco de Mayo is kind of something they don't do in Mexico. But I'm fired up about Cinco de Mayo just because of this very take it or leave it text.
Ooh.
I'm ready.
I celebrate it every year.
It's a good thing to celebrate. I celebrate it every Tuesday.
Anytime Colonial Empires get embarrassed, I drink.
Okay, there you go.
Take it or leave it. Once Carlson and Edman come back, Scott gets sent down and Palante gets released. He's not that good.
I don't think Palante will get released.
I'm going to have to leave that portion of it.
Yeah, they would send him down. But I can definitely see him not being on the roster because the Cardinals do kind of have an unused pitching spot right now.
They do.
Getting so many innings out of the starters.
And so the other portion of that was Edman coming back and Scott would be sent down. But if Edman's not coming back until we think the All-Star break, would you send Victor Scott the second down at that point?
What about Carlson, though? When Carlson comes back, then do you send him down? I kind of think I would ahead of Ciani, because I want Victor Scott to be in a position where he's playing and getting better and getting reps.
Yeah.
And I'll do respect
every day.
Yeah, I'll do respect to Ciani. I don't care.
You don't like Ciani?
No, I like him, but I find he's fine off the bench for me. I don't want Victor Scott to be a bench player.
That's fair. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals are on pace to be the same team they were last year.
Leave it.
Oh, no. Wait, what is their record?
7-9?
Weren't they 7-9 at this point last year, Randy?
Right.
70-90.
Yeah, that is. Okay, take it.
We might have to take it just because
math.
of that.
Yeah. Okay.
The math is mathing. 7-9 at this point last season.
If anybody out there is just like has numbers floating around their head right now, you play 162 games. You can text in.
What?
Play 162 games, so you're a tenth of the way through the season, and you're 7-9. What's that equal? If you see math in 3D, then just tell us.
If you see math in 3D.
Yeah. So tell us what it looks, what that would be as a record. I'm kind of alarmed by it because I'm not good at math, and I think I got it figured out.
Yeah, I think you honed in on that one.
Yeah.
Somewhere, just covering Jeff Fisher long enough, really, those numbers really work.
Oh, yes, they do.
They do.
Yes, they
Take it or
do.
leave it. The Cardinals need to make a damn trade.
Not right now, so I'm going to have to leave it for that, but
Yeah.
possibly.
I would
later on.
like it. Trades don't get made in April, though. Nobody
No.
makes trades in April.
Well, let's spice it up. Why not, Randy?
Let's overpay.
I remember how mad that made
okay.
people last year when you said that.
But it doesn't happen.
I'll never forget last year that being like 2 days on the show, texters getting infuriated and like trying to find like the 3 trades that have happened in the last 50 years,
Right.
in April to be like, see, no, it happens.
Yeah. So if you're willing to overpay, so if you want to give up Masyn Winn and Jordan Walker so that you can get a 230, 750 OPS center fielder, I think you could probably make that deal. You could make that deal in April if you so desire.
Take it or leave it. Giovanni Gallegos was good, but he's done. Oh, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I'll kind of take it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're already done?
I mean, he's not a closer. He is what he is, but he's. I don't want to play him in a leveraged situation. He can be my 7-up guy.
One has to go.
Yeah.
Palante or Giovanni Gallegos. I'm just throwing this out there. Pick one or the other.
Gallegos.
Really?
Yep. Gallegos troubles me because I think that he's too seductive for them, and they keep putting him in high leverage situations. And I don't think that I don't think Palante would be as alluring for them. I think they're able to put Palante in a low leverage situation. I don't think they can do that with Gio, and I love Gio, but I don't think that he's best served with a 1-run lead in the 8th inning.
From the 5-7-3. Done like Jordan Hicks was done? Ouch.
Ouch. But Gallegos isn't probably going to become a starter.
No. Now that would be something. Then we
Yeah.
really have to
Then we
assess
got
things in the
problems.
Cardinals
Absolutely.
organization.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Next up, how happy are you with 7-9 with the schedule the Cardinals have played? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. If you are considering selling your home and you're serious about it, take it from me and call my friend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and ask about her multiple cash offers program. And you can receive multiple cash offers quickly and eliminate the hassles of open houses, of costly repairs, and time on the market. With Gloria, you have options and you can choose the best cash offer. And there's a good reason for this because she already has buyers for you. It's incredible. She's got thousands of ready buyers because she has over 20 years in her exclusive database of buyers that are looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. And that's how Gloria is going to get you the most money and create the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, and that means more money in your pocket. Gloria sells for more and sells faster when compared to your average agent, and Gloria is anything but your average agent. She is the best in the business. Call Gloria Lou if you're considering selling your home, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
It is 8:05 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. The Cardinals have finished the gauntlet in the early part of their season that we were all worried about. We were worried, obviously, about playing the Dodgers and Mike Schultz, San Diego Padres, and then we got worried about playing the Marlins, who were in the playoffs last year, and Philadelphia. Now the Cardinals have finished that early portion of their schedule, and they get a chance to take on the A's. Brooke, at 7-9 through this early gauntlet, how do you feel about where the Cardinals are? Because I was thinking, get through 500, this stretch 500, and then take your chances. And I think that's a pretty good thing at where they are right now.
I think it's exactly what I thought, but I think the difference is that there has been some winnable games that they haven't been able to close out, and that's the portion where it does cause some concern, but it is still early on in the season. I hate saying that because I felt like we said that so much last season to the point where you felt like you wore it out, and then it didn't get past just the early portion. It just continued throughout the rest of the season, but there are some alarming parts of this. One, I think the pitching is exactly what you expected it to be. Now, Kyle Gibson the other day, not what you want to see, but hopefully that won't be what you expect from his performance moving forward. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes.
And with Miles Michaelis, it's what we talked about earlier. It's Jekyll and Hyde. It's what you're going to get from him in starts. And then you had Palante come in, and I think the bullpen is an improvement. I think defensively that this team is a lot better than last year, so I think that's at least something encouraging. My issue is that there has been some winnable games, and they haven't been able to close it on that. We talked about this earlier. They're 0-5 in series finales currently, right now. I would like to be able to see them sweep a series. Is that too much to ask for?
No, I think that's reasonable, and especially because of the division that you're in. And we kind of thought, I kind of thought at least, when the season started, that part of this would be the schedule softening up because of Milwaukee, because Milwaukee had lost Corbin Burns, and they don't have Devin Williams in the early part of the season. They've got issues, yet they're 10-4. So after this trip to Oakland, the Cardinals come home and take on the 10-4 Brewers, and then they take on the Diamondbacks, who just took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals before going to New York. And all of a sudden, you look at the Mets, and they're just like the Cardinals at 7-8. So it's not going to be as easy, perhaps, as I thought it was going to be. But just looking at it from a Cardinals perspective, to be 7-9 here, is, for me, a win. Now the key is, can they be better than those teams? Because I do believe from a talent standpoint, the Cardinals are equal to or better than the Milwaukee Brewers. I think from a talent standpoint, they're equal to or better than the New York Mets. Maybe not the Diamondbacks, and especially as they get their guys back. But when the Cardinals play those teams, they should be able, everything else being equal, to handle them. My question is, the Cardinals are going to have to do things. They're going to have to do the little things to win games, as they've done so far this season. Are they going to do that? Are they going to keep playing good defense? Are they going to keep playing small ball and get enough good bullpen pitching to be able to beat those teams? I'm okay with where they are, but Ollie's going to have to be great. The management of this team and the coaching of this team is going to have to be great if they're going to be able to contend. And we'll find out a lot over the course, I believe, of the next couple of weeks about whether or not they're able to beat these teams that everything else looks equal. Then all of a sudden you're looking into the dugout.
And just to a shout out to the 6-1 hate, no, Randy and I are not okay with a mediocre team. That's not at all what we're saying. It's just that expectation-wise, I think this is reasonable. This is a 500 team, I think. Can they be above 500? Yeah. Yes. Is this a team that's possibly going to make the playoffs? I could see them being a wild card. I think that that's all very reasonable to say.
If this were the NFL, we would be unhappy because the season would be over. But 6-1 hate, the season lasts 6 months. And I will point out to you again that the 1985 Cardinals, not that I'm making comparisons, but this is how things happen in baseball sometimes. Sometimes the 1985 team was 20-20 and wound up winning 101 games. The 2014 was 16-16 and wound up winning 105 games. So most teams aren't defined by the first 16 games of a season. But relative to what my expectation was and Brooks' expectation was for these first 16 games, I thought there was a very good chance the Cardinals could be 5-11 or 4-12 after this stretch. So to have them be 7-9 is a win. Now, the remaining 9/10 of the season will determine whether or not they're a playoff team. But no, this team, and I know it's hard sometimes for people to understand, because a lot of sports are the same. Like you play football in college and pro, the NBA and the NHL are both 82 games. I'll reiterate to you, baseball now is 162, football is 16.
There's a big difference there, Randy.
Yeah,
Numbers wise, I know that we're not.
I know you know that.
I know that. And here's the thing: is that even though we don't see numbers in 3D, I think that we can at least do the mathing on that one, and it comes out to a huge difference from the 6-1-8. And this is what I was saying earlier. While 7-9 isn't horrible, they had opportunities to be 9-7 or 10-6 if they could finish games. And that's what I'm saying. Is that's probably the most frustrating part thus far, is that they have had opportunities. There's been some winnable games that were right there, and they weren't able to close it out. I'm not making excuses for this offense not being able to show up on a consistent basis. To me, that is a concern, especially when you're looking at Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. Goldie is still hitting 193 with a 583 OPS. I hope that this is more in line with what he's been able to do in his career, because his career numbers show that he is able to pull off a great season. And when you're looking at the overall body of work, sometimes it takes him a little bit. I do understand the cause for concern that he is getting older, and Father Time is undefeated. I hope that's not the case with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, but we just don't know right now because it is still so early on the season. Also, this team offensively needs to be in the top 10 of Major League Baseball to pull off what I believe is the full plan for the pitching to work out, for this team to do what it needs to do to make the playoffs and to get a wild card spot, maybe to even go on some sort of run. This offense needs to be a top 10 offense. Exactly. And right now, they haven't been able to do that to this point. 23rd in OPS, 21st in runs scored. They do need to perform better. And Masyn Winn, I would like to see him playing on a more consistent basis, considering that he's hitting 349. He's leading your team, and he has an 821 OPS currently right now. And maybe we will see more of that for him, where he is playing on a consistent basis. That's my biggest qualm or issue right now, is that your best hitters should be out there consistently. They need to get more acclimated for the rest of the season.
No doubt, no doubt. And by the way, going back to the games they should have won, I think we can all agree that the Sunday night game in L.A. was one they should have won. Probably the game the finale in San Diego that they lost 3-2, where they had an opportunity. The Saturday night game against the Diamondbacks was definitely a winnable game. So, yes, there are games out there. Now, the question is going to be, we know that when the season starts, you're going to win 60 and you're going to lose 60. It's the other 40 that really matter. Are those 3 games going to be among the 40 that change you from a 60-win team to a 90-win team, or are they going to be the games that you just lost, that you didn't have a chance in? We just don't know how good this team is at the moment.
Yes, and also realistically, too, this is a point from the 3 and 4. Tell the 6-1 hate that 7 and 9 with all these guys hurt and Sonny only making 1 start. Keeping things in perspective, that is a good start to the season.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of injuries, and that's not making excuse. It's a reality of the situation currently.
Absolutely. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. That's today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the Blues are 81 games into this 82-game season. We're going to talk to the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, next here on 101 ESPN.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. I'm getting up this morning, getting ready for the final game of the regular season coming up on Wednesday in Dallas. But I'm also adjusting the thermostat because I don't need the air conditioner blowing hard today like it was yesterday. Now, here's a question for you. Is your thermostat in the right spot in your house? You ever wonder why you might have some warm spots and cold spots? You ever wonder, like, hey, how come this room is that much cooler or that much warmer than another one? Well, get those questions answered at ClassicAirCare.com or at Classic Air Care by calling them, setting up an appointment, having them come out, having them maintain your HVAC unit. That's right. It's a piece of machinery. It's like a car. It's like an oil change. The better you maintain it, the longer the life it's going to have, the less likely it is that you're going to have massive repairs. So if you go to ClassicAirCare.com, and air is spelled A-I-R-E, ClassicAirCare.com, you can schedule an appointment and have them make sure that your HVAC unit is ready to go as the temperatures warm up and you start to fire up that air conditioner. If you need a new unit, they'll take care of it, but they'll also help maintain the one that you have to make sure costs of repairs are kept at bay as long as they can. Check out their Google rating as well. It's right on the top of their website. And set up an appointment today at ClassicAirCare.com. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
KerbSide with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Grimsley, Randy Carricker, the opening drive, 101 ESPN, and the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, joins us as he does every Monday. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
Randy, I'm good today. How are you?
Good. I can't tell you how great it was to hear Kelly Chase yesterday.
Yeah, Joey's son had his first communion, and which is obviously a pretty big deal, and Chase was available to sit in. It was fun having him sit back in the booth. It's hard to believe it's been 6 seasons, isn't it?
That is amazing to think that he's been out of the booth that long. But he took one thing about Chaser, he can talk. So he took like a duck to water.
Yeah, that was like getting back on a tandem bike. And thank goodness it was the case too, because I think the broadcast yesterday was about 50% play-by-play, something like that.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what the actual numbers are, but let's just say that yesterday had a really good economy of words.
It really did.
Well, Kerbs, the Blues season, as we know, they're not going to be able to make the playoffs, and they were able to at least close out their homestand with a nice run there against the Kraken. But are you happy with the Blues season overall? I know that they're going to finish it out this week in Dallas, but are you happy with the Blues season overall, and did they meet your expectations, surpass them, or was there any disappointments? What is your feeling coming away from this?
Yeah, I think it might be disingenuous to say that I was happy with the season. I think that did they meet expectations? I didn't anticipate this was a playoff team at the beginning of the year. I think there was obviously a disappointing start that caused a terrific hockey coach and man to lose his job. And that led to, the changes that we saw. I believe there are some really good signs for the future that came out of this. I believe there's some really good evaluation of some that will not be part of that future coming out of this. I guess for me, Brooke, I constantly put myself back into a state of reality. Even when the Blues had a 4-point lead on a wild card spot playing Nashville. Like, okay, if they get the win, they get the 6, you could see where this might go. We'll have to wait and see. When you've got a playoff spot, a couple months left in the season and you can't hold on to it, I think you're going to look at it as a disappointment. When you finish 5 points out of a playoff spot, you're going to look at it as a disappointment. And you should, especially considering some of the just horrifically inexplainable losses that you had. But that said, this is year one of what Doug Armstrong said he envisioned could be a 2 or 3 year retool rebuild as they change the core to the younger guys, led by Robert Thomas from an offensive standpoint. And as they, start to bring in, remember, Snuggerud had already been drafted, right? They had not drafted Dvorsky with the 10th overall pick when they did that. And for year one, for that to finish with a 90-plus point season, basically the first team in the West out of a playoff spot, in that sense, I think you have to look at it as progress. One more quick thought, and I don't know where you're at with this one on Randy or Brooke, but it's an interesting debate on whether or not this was the worst possible outcome, right? Because you weren't good enough to make the playoffs. You were good enough to play some meaningful games down the stretch, and don't underestimate how important that is, when it comes to young guys. But you also didn't help yourself with a higher draft pick. And the one thing that came out of yesterday's game was, well, if there's one thing for sure, the word tanking is not part of Doug Armstrong's vernacular.
Right. And Kerbs, you know what? I look at it as a 61-year-old. I don't want to tank. I look at the Snuggerud situation, okay? Snuggerud is still going to have to acclimate to the NHL. I don't think Jimmy Snuggerud winds up being an impact player for the Blues until 26-27. He plays next year, 24-25 in college, 25-26 if he's in the NHL. We very rarely see guys make an impact in their very first year in the NHL. So I think at the earliest we're looking for Snuggerud to be an impact player at 26, 27. You draft a player now, an 18-year-old, next probably 2 years. So 24, 25, 25, 26. He's probably in junior or the minors or in the A. So 26, 27, maybe his first year, 27, 28, he starts to become an impact player. Look how long it took Robert Thomas to become what he is, probably 4 or 5 years. I don't think that in this day and age, if you're Doug Armstrong, you don't have enough time to tank. It's foolish because we've seen Buffalo do it forever with high draft choices. We've seen Edmonton. They don't have a cup to show for it. I don't want the Blues to do that. I'm a big proponent of if I can move the might be for an is, I'm going to do that.
Randy, with the Summer Olympics coming, that's a 10 out of 10 platform dive. That's perfect. Like, no, I agree with you completely. Absolutely, completely on this. Like, if, let's peel back some of what you went through. First off, TJ Oshie went back to his third year at North Dakota. Worked out just well for him, I think, right? So we're okay there, and fully expected there. Robert Thomas, you can make the case. I mean, Robert Thomas assisted on what you can make the case is the biggest goal in the history of this franchise, and that double overtime goal by Pat Maroon. But Robert Thomas was a rookie playing a line with a 10-year vet in Tyler Bozak at center, and then the big rig on the other side. This season, season 6, was his first season in the NHL as a full-time number one centerman, and look what he's done. Okay, so you're right. It does take time. There is no guarantee that tanking and to go back. And if you look at all the teams that are in the bottom right now, they did it to themselves. They chose to go the route that they chose of basically emptying the cupboard. And any general manager out there can tank. Any general manager out there can sell talent and see the best possible deal they could get, right? It's getting it to the next level once you've done that. And, that is what the Blues, I think, have been great in. So when you're looking at a Bolduc as a 17th overall pick, a Thomas as a 20th overall pick, a Binnington and a Kyrou as second rounders, a Parayko as a third rounder, right? They have found ways to draft and to bring in good quality players. Now we haven't seen, we haven't gotten the luck of like a fifth round Kucherov or something like that where you're getting, 133 points. Okay, but they are getting, some pretty doggone good players in there. And they've clearly drafted high character, which you can see this year. You absolutely need more character on this team and in that locker room. They're very pleased with what they're seeing in the development process. And Tom Stillman told Alex Ferrario yesterday, look, we don't want to overhype our offseason. We're going to continue this process from within, make the adjustments accordingly to the roster. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. But we are going to stick to our plan. And teams that stick to that plan work. Now, the other thing that Doug Armstrong has done, and this is where the Buffalo Sabres, the Edmonton Oilers, all those other teams, the Ottawa Senators that continue to flub, the Arizona Coyotes, you can't keep a hold of all of your prospects. At some point, you've got to move somebody to get somebody to put it, to keep your progress moving forward. The Vegas Golden Knights have been excellent at it. And the Blues as well. It's probably one of those things that cost Jarmo Kekalainen his job. Is he just never made enough of the moves to advance the process there in Columbus. So, yeah, I'm with you. There is no need to tank. The cupboard isn't bare. You clearly see that there was a Kessel, a Bolduc in the pipeline coming, and there's more coming as they go. They've trusted their staff, and I think you're in a pretty good shape. Look, this is only the 11th time in franchise history that the Blues have missed the playoffs. The Buffalo Sabres are about to miss the playoffs for the 13th consecutive year. The Buffalo Sabres, if they end up, I think they're 11th now, if they end up with a top 10 pick, we'll be picking with a top 10 pick for the 10th time in the last 11 years. Let that sink in. All those other teams, go look at Arizona. Go look at Chicago. Go look at San Jose's different because San Jose had a long, good run, and frankly, they deserve a first overall pick. But look at the Ottawa Senators and look at those teams, the Montreal Canadiens, who are once again continuing to pick in the top 10 because they can't get out of the bottom 10. I think the Blues are on a good path in terms of how they're moving forward, and hopefully they make just enough tweaks and earn a few more points, next year. Look, it's a process. It's a bit of a frustrating one, but I'm sure like the hands that the Blues are in versus some of these other teams.
And Kerbs, you brought up one franchise that I think is really interesting, and they went with the no movement clauses that Chicago did with Taves, Kane, Seabrook, Keith, Crawford, and they had to get rid of people like Teravainen, who had a nice run with Carolina. They had to get rid of Panarin. They got rid of some really established good young players, DeBrincat, and that was because they had to pay those guys. But man, Chicago now, this is one playoff appearance in the last 7 years for the Blackhawks. And by the way, the last time they won a playoff series was when they won the Stanley Cup final in 2015.
Well, and so as some people say, yeah, but they won the 3 cups. I'm with you on that. And you would trade that to have that, those 2 extra cups. I'm not sitting there saying and suggesting that a team should, Meyer in the middle, and Tom Stillman and both Doug Armstrong have said we don't want to be in the mucky middle, and I get that part. But there's other ways to do it, and yeah, look, they paid a price, but they had Hall of Fame franchise caliber players and those guys, and I can totally understand where it goes. But you're right, you look at DeBrincat, you look at Yoki Hardy, you look at even when they were going through the process, they traded away Bufflin, Leddy, Saad, Panarin. They moved some guys to kind of stay in there. Mm-hmm. And look, one of the things that handcuffed the Blues more than anything is what happened with the flat cap and COVID. Okay? For 4 years, the cap stayed flat right after they won it, so the ability to really extend some guys didn't quite exist the way it did. And if you look at, Tampa won a couple cups. Well, they had guys in different points and times in their contracts, right? And so that's all part of it. I mean, that's just playing in the sandbox. That's just doing business. That's just kind of where it's going. But you're right. I mean, one playoff appearance in the last 7 years for the Chicago Blackhawks. Randy, the Blues have not missed the playoff. They've only missed the playoffs 3 consecutive years, one time in franchise history.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing, Kerbs, you can see a future. That's the difference. So the Blackhawks fans can't see a future right now. And the Blues, it's the old Branch Rickey thing. I'd rather get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. Chicago, it was a year too late for almost all of their guys. No, all of them. The Blues, you lose Tarasenko, you get rid of O'Reilly. Petro, I think we can all agree, was a mistake. But at least they weren't stuck with those guys beyond the time they were serviceable players.
No, now I do wonder. I have wondered if the Blues could have been more aggressive to keep some of those guys and stay in the window and find different support guys. I think that's a fair question and a fair debate to ask and have some fun with. But they made a decision. And Doug Armstrong made the decision. He almost made it a year earlier, but he felt that team, that core should have one more chance. And when they were below 500 last year, he said, that's it, we're ripping the Band-Aid off. And if we do this now, I believe that we're going to get our young guys enough experience, and when a couple of these other guys come in, here's where we're going to be. He's got the support and faith of Tom Stillman and the ownership group, right? And I think, look, the fact that you were playing game number 80 with still a chance to make the playoffs, albeit I know it's a slight mathematical one, but still game number 80 with a chance that had 2 games gone your way, you're 1 point out of a playoff spot. It shows you that he knows what he's doing in terms of building a team. And I think you've got to see it through. So, again, Tom Stillman joined Alex yesterday on the broadcast, and I thought some of his answers and stuff give fans a real simple, real clear idea. And, the one thing that this team hasn't, that fans have not received under the stewardship of Mr. Stillman and his ownership group, they haven't received a letter that says, hey, we're going to go into a complete rebuild, hang with us, mm-hmm. And the Rangers did that a few years ago, all that stuff. They haven't done that. And ever since this ownership group took over, they have given Doug Armstrong the resources to spend to the cap every single year. They've built a new practice facility for players to come in and see, hey, you got a nice place to practice. You've got this. They've renovated the building, so the locker room is new. They've brought in an all-star game. You've seen 2 Winter Classics, and you're going to play in a 3rd next year. You've seen 2 runs to the conference finals, including a Stanley Cup championship. I think they've earned some equity to trust a process, and frankly, this year shows you that they are on track with that process. They stated what they were trying to do, and this year played out pretty close to that way.
Kerbs, I do appreciate the transparency that they have had, and they've been very honest with things. And so just kind of your thoughts, though, because we went through what this offseason could look like, all the different things that could be happening. But I know there's a long checklist that Doug Armstrong has to look at here. But what do you think is the number one challenge that he faces this offseason?
I think the number one challenge is still how does this team improve its defensive play? You've got those top four guys still under contracts. I don't think any of them are unreasonable contracts. You may have the single best contract of any defenseman in the National Hockey League in the Parayko one from a team-friendly standpoint. But it's not just that defensive core. It's how do they tweak the defensive core, but also how do they play as a team? They still give up a lot of backdoor chances on that side of things. So to me, it's kind of how you start to cut down again on the goals against, and that is sure as hell not talking goaltending. Our goaltending was just fine. You've got the one thing, and I talked to somebody a couple days ago, on the inside on this one. You've got the one thing you need, in the National Hockey League, and that's goaltending. To me, I think it's just going to be how it's that one on the ice, Brooke, and then off the ice. I think they've got to find some jam. They've got to find a little difference-making jam, someone that can bring a little spark, a little life. I'm not talking about you got to fight every shift, but I don't know that there's some of that, Pat Maroon swagger, right? And we need a little swagger. So some of that it factor has to be brought back in as well.
Kerbs, is always great stuff. We'll be tuned in on Wednesday night for the finale, Blues at Dallas. And let's bring home a winner to close things out.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Finish the season 11 games over 500, which is a step in the right direction. Have an awesome week, you two, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, brother. Thank you. See you later.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.
That is the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber. We covered a lot of ground there.
We did. Now we have some plans for the offseason.
Yeah, and I don't know. It sure sounds like Blues are not going to be big into big money free agency. I think we can glean from the conversations that we've had and what Tom Stillman told Alex Ferrario that they aren't going to be big into that, but it's going to be a draft and develop team. And then when they're ready to jump over the top, that's when they'll go out and make the big moves.
Exactly. I do appreciate the transparency, though. I want to reiterate that. Kerb said that. We've been saying that. I think that is so nice and refreshing to have a realistic outlook on what they're doing. And you don't have to reveal all of your full plans, of course, but to be realistic about what you're trying to do and build here within the organization, I think helps a lot of fans. At least makes me feel a little bit better about the direction. Even though you don't like it, of course, I wish that we still had that 2019 Stanley Cup team. You were able to keep all those parts together, but of course, that's not the reality of the situation. But still, at the same time, I appreciate how transparent they are about what they're trying to do here.
And remember, when the Blues signed Pat Maroon, that was a bargain.
I remember that, yeah.
You can still find those players with some bite to them on the market that will kind of change the personality of your team, but it won't cost you a ton of money. They need to go out and find that guy. I believe Joel Edmondson. I think sometimes we go back to the future too much with those guys, but Joel Edmondson's had a nice year for Washington and Toronto. Maybe he's a guy that you do bring back because we know that he has that bite. He's been hurt a lot, but he still has that rugged nature to him that the Blues need. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Matthew is here, and we've got the fight coming up. I guess we need a fighter, eh?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah.
We do. So all you need to do is text in 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And maybe if you send in your name and the word fight, Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird Report. In the rubber match Sunday against the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals bats went cold as they were shut out for the first time this season. Arizona scoring all 5 of their runs in the 5th inning. Miles Mikolas was charged with all 5 of the runs, but he left the game with the bases loaded, and Andre Palante allowed all 3 of the inherited runners to score. On the other side, former Cardinals Zach Gallen managed to give the D-backs 6 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts. Your Redbirds are back in action today, playing what will likely be their final series in Oakland. First pitches at 8:40 with Sonny Gray making his second start of the season.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. As you know, the weather has just been all over the place here recently. It's nice and warm one day, like today, or it's really cold like it was the other day. But where you shouldn't be feeling all those different temperature changes is inside your home. So you should call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct to avoid all those temperature changes inside your home. And you may be wondering, can windows really make that big of a difference? Here's the thing, they can, and here's how. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which helps keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes your windows last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. If you call Universal Windows Direct today at 314-334-2522 for your free in-home estimate, you can get for every 2 windows you buy, you get 2 for free. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, give 4. There's really no limit. Plus, they'll upgrade your new windows to triple pane glass for free, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Tell them I told you to call and get an additional $250 off your next project. For the last windows you'll ever need, go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Rocky, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals lose 2 of 3 in Arizona, or in Arizona, I should say, and they face off now against the Oakland A's in a 3-game series. It'll be Sonny Gray today, facing off against Ross Stripling, a battle of the righties. Sonny Gray's second start in his Cardinals career. Again, that is a late game. 8:40 p.m. is the first pitch there. Blues go 500 on the weekend with a 5-2 loss to Carolina on Friday, which ended their playoff chances. They then got a big win over Seattle 4-1. They will close out their whole season later on this week, facing off against the Dallas Stars. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC with a big 1-0 win over Austin FC. The Battlehawks get a victory as well, and Scottie Scheffler, his second green jacket with another Masters victory. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Come to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Kerber.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Rocc, and Randy here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Jack. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you guys?
We're doing good. Are you excited to face Randy in the fight today?
I am. It's my first time and trying to get on for a while, so yeah, I'm excited.
All right, first time. Nervous, excited, scared?
Yeah, all the above.
All the above. Okay. Well, we wish you the best, Jack, on your first fight against Randy. So are you ready for question number 1?
I'm ready.
All right. Utah will now get its second Big Four team the same way it got its first, relocating a struggling franchise. Where did the Jazz originally play? Was it St. Louis, Memphis, or New Orleans?
I'm going to say New Orleans.
The NBA playoffs begin later this week with the play-in tournament. The lowest seed to ever win an NBA Finals was this 6th seed. Was it the Detroit Pistons, the Houston Rockets, or the Dallas Mavericks?
Oh, I'm not a big NBA guy. Can I have the options one more time?
Was it the Detroit Pistons, the Houston Rockets, or the Dallas Mavericks?
I'll say the Dallas Mavericks.
Question 3. The Cardinals do not have a perfect game in franchise history, but do boast 10 no-hitters from 9 pitchers. Which of those 9 pitchers got closest to a perfect game, allowing only 1 base runner? Was it Paul Daffy Dean, Bob Gibson, or Bob Forsch?
Let's go Bob Gibson.
Tiger has won 5 Masters and still holds the record for the largest margin of victory. In which Masters did he set that record? Was that 1997, 2002, or 2005?
Let's go with 2002.
All right, we'll double-check the score and bring in Randy Kerber.
All right, how are you feeling after that?
So-so. I didn't know the NBA question for sure, so that was a total guess. We'll see how it goes.
It's okay. You know, sometimes I'm an NBA fan. Right now, we've determined that I am a Thunder fan, and I think Brandy slowly is becoming a Thunder fan as well.
Now that I know the players.
Now that you know the players, you became a fan. Randy, say hi to Jack.
Jack, good morning. How you doing?
Oh,
Sorry.
there you
Good,
go.
Randy.
Now.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Jack. Thank you very much.
Nope,
for
one more
listening.
time. There he is.
There we go.
Sorry.
Okay, Jack, I'm doing good. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
He could still hear
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Great to have you with us. Thank you.
You ready for question number 1, Randy?
I am ready.
Utah will now get its second Big Four team the same way it got its first, relocating a struggling franchise. Where did the Jazz originally play?
Where would Jazz have been? Why is a team in Utah named the Jazz when you can't even dance? Is there a more ridiculous name in sports than the Utah Jazz?
LA Lakers.
That's a ridiculous one, too.
Is it like Footloose out there?
A little bit.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Jazz fit perfectly, did it not? And then the Utah Jazz. Yeah, so New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah and didn't change their name.
Randy, the NBA playoffs begin later this week with the play-in tournament. The lowest seed to ever win an NBA Finals was this 6th seed.
This 6th seed. Well, I'm guessing that it didn't come from the play-in then, because that's 7, 8, 9, and 10. But maybe 6th seed. I'm going to go with. I'll do the lifeline just because.
Was it the Detroit Pistons,
No.
the Houston Rockets,
Maybe.
or the Dallas Mavericks?
That helps a lot. I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the Pistons, simply because they've won more.
Final answer?
Yeah.
All right. The Cardinals do not have a perfect game in franchise history, but do boast 10 no-hitters from 9 pitchers. Which of those 9 pitchers got closest to a perfect game, allowing only 1 base runner?
I'm going to go with Jose Jimenez against the Diamondbacks. I think that'll be my one. I'm going to go with it. I don't know if he did it or not, but I'm going to go with it.
Randy, Tiger has won 5 Masters and still holds the record for the largest margin of victory. In which Masters win did he seal that victory? Or did he set that record?
Yeah,
I should say.
I think it was his first one, 1997, I'm going to go with.
All right, we have a winner, no tiebreaker necessary today, and it was a close one, a low-scoring fight win today. Was it Jack who came in over Randy Carricker, get us off to a really rough start here to start the week? Or does Megamind start the week with a win of his own? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Just win, baby.
I'm sorry, Jack. You got so close, but he just barely beat you. He got you 2-1 today in the fight.
That's all right. Question, so hats off to him.
Yeah, there were some tricky questions. I started you guys off with an easy one, and then I made it a lot tougher from there. Let's go through the questions and answers. Utah will now get its second Big 14 the same way it got its first, relocating a struggling franchise. Apparently, though, they're not going to call them the Coyotes, which makes less sense to me because there's a lot more Coyotes in Utah than there is Jazz, as the Utah Jazz stole the Jazz from New Orleans. I'm just saying, Utah Coyotes makes a lot more sense than Utah Jazz is all I'm saying. NBA playoffs begin later this week with the play-in tournament. The lowest seed to ever win an NBA Finals was, in fact, the Houston Rockets in the 90s, their first of their 2 championships. They were a lower seed. The Cardinals do not have a perfect game in franchise history, but do post 10 no-hitters from 9 pitchers. It was, in fact, Paul Daffy Dean who just walked 1 batter, the only Cardinal to only have 1 base runner in their no-hitters. I think I don't think anyone has 2. I think from there on it's 3 or 4 and a couple numbers higher than that. And Tiger has won 5 Masters. He still holds the record for the largest margin of victory. And at this Masters, he did set the record for the lowest total round score. That was, of course, beaten by Dustin Johnson a few years ago, and it was, in fact, his first win, the 1997 Masters, with a 12-stroke victory for his first ever Masters. Talk about blowing up the scene as soon as you walk on it. So a 2-1 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Jack, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Appreciate it. Have a good day, guys. Thanks.
You too, Jack.
All right,
Thank
Jack.
you. Thanks so much for playing. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we want to hear from you. What do you think of the fact that the Cardinals have started Masyn Winn in only 12 of 16 games so far? That's on pace for 120 starts for Masyn Winn. Is that enough? That's next on 101 ESPN. You like things that are just for you and not for everybody else, right? Well, Schnucks curates special savings in the Schnucks Rewards app just for you on the things that you buy the most. They aren't savings for your neighbor. They're not for me. They're personalized savings just for you in the Schnucks Rewards app. Just tap the savings icon and it'll load all the personalized savings for the items that you buy the most, and they change it every week. Then just clip the digital coupons and start saving. Personalized savings just for you in the Schnucks Rewards app. Download it today. Here's the other things that you want to know about with Schnucks. They're rewarding you for getting active the rest of this month. Join the Schnucks Healthier Habits Steps Challenge to earn $5 in Schnucks Rewards points each week by hitting the 50,000 step weekly goal. That means you can earn $20 in Schnucks Rewards points this month just for being active. Plus, all participants are entered to win one of 6 prizes between $100 and $500 in Schnucks Rewards points. For more information and to join today, visit schnucks.com/healthier habits in the Schnucks Rewards app. Cardinals shortstop Masyn Winn is hitting a club-high 349. As a matter of fact, he's the only Cardinal that's hitting 300 or above. Well, actually better than 300 because Matt Carpenter technically is hitting 300, but he's on the IL.
There's a important distinction there.
There is. So Masyn Winn is the only Cardinal hitting better than 300 this season. Yet he didn't start yesterday in the finale at Arizona, and in 16 Cardinal games played this year, he has only started 12, even though he has played in 14. And it seems like your top hitter, when he's 22 years old, should play more than that. And I know that we're only talking probably about the difference of 2 games. He probably should have started 14 of 16 rather than 12 of 16. But when you look, Brooke, at the fact that 36-year-old Paul Goldschmidt leads the club in plate appearances, that 33-year-old Nolan Arenado is there, Gorman, who's 23 and is coming off an injury from last year. He had that back injury. I'm trying to think, Matthew. Trying to think about that, how long he dealt with that.
According to Baseball Reference, it's about a week back.
Okay, there you go. Brooke isn't even smiling anymore.
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
There you go.
I don't want to talk about the back issues anymore.
Okay.
I want to leave them a week back or a year back. How about that?
Okay, good. So Masyn Winn, I think, should be a 135, 140 game player this year and still probably will wind up in that range. But to this point, with as much as the offense is struggling and as much as he brings to the club defensively, should he play more at the expense of keeping a guy like Brandon Crawford sharp? I think we can reasonably agree that there's a couple of games that he didn't start that he probably should have.
And I'll take yesterday as an example. I think that was a game yesterday. I just don't understand, I guess, their frequency. I'm fine with the guy getting a day off every once in a while, especially with how long the season is. But when you've seen it this frequently, where it's been 4 games that he has sat currently, correct? And in 16 games this season, that is not something that I want to see, and it's a little confusing, especially when you pair it with a quote from Ollie Marmol yesterday. And John Didden of MLB.com has this quote. He asked Ollie Marmol about why he was resting Masyn Winn, and he said, Masyn needs a day. We talked about it, and his body can use it. He's swinging it well, he's playing good defense, and he's running the bases. But in conversation with him, today would be a good day for him to have the day off, talking about yesterday. This is going to be a long season for him, and keeping him fresh will be important. Our communication has been good, and and we agreed that today would be a good day for him to rest. The biggest part of that is we talked about it, and his body can use it. He's 22 years old, and Randy, I don't know, the thing is when I see him out there, he looks great. And we talked about offensively, he's leading your team currently with a 349 batting average. So you need those runs currently, but he's also your best option for your shortstop position. Defensively, that's the guy that you need out there. And I want your starters to be starting pretty much every day unless there is something else going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. But it doesn't seem like it with Masyn Winn.
Back in my day, there was a very good reason to sit a guy like, for example, Pedro Guerrero on a Sunday after a Saturday night game on the road. And one time, Pedro didn't even show up for a Sunday game.
What do you mean? Huh, really? Interesting. Was it different culture around baseball back then?
A little bit.
Oh, okay.
He had met a new friend who introduced him to another friend called Mickey.
Jesus. No.
And so I think he was found constrained in his room with all of his jewelry gone.
Randy.
I think he was, yeah. But I'm not suggesting that that's the way baseball is now. But there used to, my point is that there used to be a good reason for players to not play a day game after a night game.
I don't think that's anything that's going on
I don't
here.
think there is either.
That was a story. Let me tell you, that was a story. There's a lot to unpack there. But specifically with Masyn Winn, just from what I've gathered, him as a player, his quotes, how he presents himself, and when he's out there, he looks completely healthy. I imagine that this is a conversation more of maybe this is the Cardinals' plan, and they have this plan with Masyn Winn of they, for whatever reason, want him to rest a little bit more, and Masyn Winn is doing what he's told to do in this situation. I can't imagine that Masyn Winn is like, yeah, I want to have, another rest day. I need another rest day.
Maybe,
I can't imagine that.
Maybe by the end of this season, he'll be able to say to Ali, nope, I'm playing, and be able to play. An interesting question from the 314. How do you think the team feels about the best average sitting on the bench when they need hits? I'm sure they don't like it, and I agree with that. If you are struggling offensively, you want to have the best players on the field on a reasonable basis. It's not unreasonable for us to ask that he be on the field for 14 out of 16 games at his age.
How do you think that Miles Michaelis feels? Now, this is a very interesting stat. Now, I will say he doesn't need to walk guys. That's very important to him having a successful start, typically for any pitcher, but especially for Miles Michaelis there, because we saw what happened yesterday in that game. But how about this stat for him about not getting that much run support for the second consecutive start and for the 33rd time in 154 career starts since Miles Michaelis has joined the Cardinals, he wasn't able to get much run support. It's something about that with him.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wonder what it is. Sometimes that happens, though. But I don't know why. Because, like, Waino always got a ton of run support. It's a weird dynamic in baseball. This one from the 636, I don't know about y'all, but my body felt a hell of a lot better at 22 than it does at 27. Yeah, so enjoy it, Masyn, while it's there. This one from the 636, the best Cardinals are either on the bench or on other rosters.
Oh.
From the 314, Ali is a momentum killer, not just with Masyn Winn, but with other players in games. Sick of it. Wrong segment, I know. Yeah.
You can save that for Thursday. Hopefully, maybe by Thursday, that's still not the conversation. But that's my whole point is if a player is performing well, why not keep them in your lineup?
Bottom line, he's win two out of 4 on Friday, 2 out of 4 on Saturday, and sat on Sunday. Right. You're 100% right.
It doesn't make much sense. And with keeping Brandon Crawford sharp, okay, I understand he's on your bench and you do need him. You're going to need him at certain points throughout the season. But realistically, going in, how much did you want to see Brandon Crawford this season?
I wanted to see him as much as the Giants did.
Okay.
They had no interest.
Exactly.
That's a pretty good organization.
So do you need to keep a player like that sharp if you aren't using him that much?
Well, is he ever going to get sharp? That's the thing. If you play him in 8 out of 10 games, or 16 out of 20, is Brandon Crawford going to get sharp anymore in his career? Or is he kind of ready for... I
think this is what it is.
Yeah, MLB 2K The Show. I think he's... it just kind of looks like that. So he's got 4 kids. So maybe we can play with them.
From the 618, Randy, should Herrera be in every day?
I like the way they're using Herrera. I think by the second half of the season that's a very strong possibility. I love him. He needs to be better. Why the hell Yachty didn't show up at spring training is beyond me, because you can tell just by watching Herrera's hands that they aren't where they should be in terms of receiving. He should be better, and he'll get hopefully better at that. I still don't know who the Cardinal catching instructor is, but
I don't think they have one, do they?
No, I don't think in the whole organization, I don't think they have one. So he could use some help, but offensively and with the way he works with the pitchers, I would say that by the second half of the season, he might be the guy. So, yeah, the Cardinals have some issues. That's Brooke. I'm Randy, and coming up next on 101 ESPN, it's the Rush Hour Reset. Stick around. Hey, if you walked outside over the weekend, you know that the St. Louis summer heat is headed our way. And if you haven't scheduled your air conditioner tune-up with Hoffman Brothers yet, you need to, because the warm weather is the worst when your air conditioner goes out. A friendly reminder from my friends at Hoffman Brothers that now's the time to get that tune-up scheduled. Don't wait until it stops working. The maintenance on your air conditioner once a year is just as important as oil changes in your car. Call today and schedule online at HoffmanBros.com. Their number 314-664-3011, or just go to HoffmanBros.com. Hoffman Brothers, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. And if your air conditioner has a hard time keeping up with the summer heat, you need to feel like you have hot and cold spots in your house? No, you don't. Hoffman Brothers can handle all of your air conditioning needs this summer. Repairs, maintenance, installation. That's right, installation. If you need a new one, they offer 0% financing for up to 36 months. Call or text Hoffman Brothers 314-664-3011 or on the web at HoffmanBros.com.
R&R Tires. Visit rnrtires.com to lock in your $20 tires deal.
The Cardinals lose 5-0 yesterday in Arizona. The Cardinals didn't start Masyn Winn. We had a Brooke, a question in the last segment. What's the Cardinals' record when Masyn Winn doesn't start? Those 4 games, the Cardinals are 1-3, and in the games that he does play in, the overall record is, let me do some math here, 6-6. 500 team with him, 1-3 without him.
I think I would like him in the lineup, Randy.
I'm with you.
I like it a lot better.
And we would presume that he will be in the lineup tonight as the Cardinals open a 3-game series in Oakland against the Athletics. And it's an 8:40 start. Cardinals need to take advantage of a bad Oakland team, and they'll send Sonny Gray, who started his career with the Athletics. They'll send Sonny to the mound against Ross Stripling of the A's. Should we still call him Oakland even though they're moving?
I think that while they're still in Oakland, yes, but they are on the move to Sacramento, which is still a little weird to grasp that this is going on behind the scenes. But this will likely be the Cardinals' final series in Oakland.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like other ways we should refer to them as, like, instead of like the Oakland A's, we could refer to them as the John Fisher Trust Fund babies.
Oh, that'd be good.
Or like the John Fisher, I don't know, determination to destroy a city. Like something that really illustrates what they are actually about right now.
Where do his riches come from?
Levi's?
His parents owned the Gap.
Yeah.
In Old Navy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe they didn't own it, but they were big-time shareholders. I'm not sure the exact whether or not they started or owned it, whatever. That's where the money comes from, the Gap and Old Navy and things
How about
like that.
if we just call them the Philadelphia, Kansas City, Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas A's?
It's a lot. I don't like that.
The eventual Las Vegas A's?
Yeah, eventual Las Vegas A's. There you go.
After they play 3 seasons in Sacramento in a minor league baseball park.
Fun.
Totally normal things happening there,
Yeah.
but, you know.
It's baseball and hockey both have problems. Hockey trying to solve the conundrum that exists in the Valley of the Sun, 10th biggest market, and they have been there for almost 3 decades, and they can't get an arena built. The fans, when the team was good, showed up. This has nothing to do with the fans. It's just ineptness on the part of ownership and the league. And by the way, the league is part of the problem here because they have approved bad owners for this franchise. So I feel bad for the people in Phoenix because they were good fans. This franchise, I think, has made the playoffs once in the last 12 years, and they're fine as fans, but the ownership is just a total mess. So they're moving to Salt Lake City next season, and then the A's are moving too. Just terrible.
I don't like it. I also don't like, too, that you've been able to see what the players have also been through. So, of course, the fan side is absolutely terrible, but the players also going through this process as well. How is that fair to them?
It's not.
And somehow the league is just kind of turning a blind eye. I'm talking about both of them turning a blind eye to what these players are going through.
Right. It's got to be really tough, and especially for the A's because they have to move to 2 separate cities.
Exactly.
They've got to move to Sacramento and then move to Vegas. The Blues beat Seattle yesterday 4-1 after losing to Carolina 5-2 on Friday. Blues will wrap up their season on Wednesday night against the Stars, and we'll have it for you here on 101 ESPN. Pregame at 7:30 in Dallas on Wednesday night, so the action at 8:30 with Kerbs and Joey. St. Louis City, a winner over Austin FC yesterday, 1-0. Klauss with the goal in the 58th minute. Battlehawks hold off San Antonio 31-24. Congratulations to the 2-1 St. Louis Battlehawks. And Scottie Scheffler, cause the law. And Scottie Scheffler wins the Masters. He wins it by 4 strokes over Ludwig Oberg, and that's his second Masters and second major victory for Scottie Scheffler. The best guy going.
Just as expected.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising, but you mentioned this earlier, and I'm 100% with you on this. I kind of want to see somebody start to dominate things again. And maybe Scottie Scheffler will be able to do that. Can't believe that he's 27 years old. I feel like we've talked about him for so long, and he's just 27 years old. So I'm excited to see what he'll be able to accomplish. But I thought it was a great weekend. I love the Masters. I love every single thing about it, and the fact that you had Tiger Woods Sunday Red. I know that he didn't finish well, but still, just to have him out there, it's always better for the game when he's around.
This might be really petty on my part. I root for the live guys to not win. I don't root against them. I don't actively root against them, but I don't want live guys to win the Masters.
Because they kind of took the easy way out, right?
Yeah.
You get all that money, but then again, do you blame them in some ways to get all of that guaranteed money? No. So that's that's the kind of balancing act that you feel that you do with this juggling act. I guess.
Is it a surprise though that all those guys that only play 3 days, on the fourth day, they all disintegrate.
Huh. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think you need to look at just how the second half of Saturday went for a lot of those guys. Because that's when it wasn't just Sunday. A lot of those guys, especially Bryson, really, as soon as like 6 or 7 on Saturday happened, bam, all of a sudden something kind of triggered. And no, obviously you hit amen, and things get tricky then too on Saturday. But still, a lot of those guys started trending even earlier. And again, you get close to 54, and all of a sudden your body starts tracking the way it's used to. This is why teams practice at game times. Your body gets acclimated to these kind of things. You can't tell me that constantly playing 54 and playing so much less is an effect.
Absolutely. There's your rush hour reset here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, are you happy with the Blues season? We'll tell you why we might be. I definitely am. Next on 101 ESPN. Hey, St. Louis, get your exclusive City SE debit card from Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union is the only place to find this official fan debit card, and it comes with special perks like a free lifetime My City Plus membership. How cool is that? In-stadium discounts on food and beverages and merchandise, and most exciting, express entry into City SC matches. And as a special bonus, Together Credit Union will also send you a commemorative print of City Park, the home of St. Louis City SC, while supplies last. How do you get the card? It's easy. Open any personal checking account online at togethercu.org or stop by any of Together Credit Union's 14 local branches and choose the Together Credit Union St. Louis City SC debit card at account opening. There's no cost for the City SC debit card, so don't wait. Sign up today and show your pride for St. Louis City SC. It's so easy to get, and it's so much fun to use when you go to City Park. Membership eligibility required, federally insured by the NCUA.
when you've got a playoff spot, a couple months left in the season and you can't hold on to it, I think you're going to look at it as a disappointment. When you finish 5 points out of a playoff spot, you're going to look at it as a disappointment, and you should, especially considering some of the just horrifically inexplainable losses that you had. But that said, this is year one of what Doug Armstrong said he envisioned could be a 2 or 3 year retool rebuild. And for year one, for that to finish with a 90-plus point season, basically the first team in the West out of a playoff spot, in that sense, I think you have to look at it as progress.
Brooke and Randy with you on 101 ESPN. And Brooke, I tend to look at, as you know, at sports from a big picture perspective. I try to look at it at times from a 5,000-foot view. And a lot of times we'll come in and because it's our job, we'll react to a game, and we react to all 82 games on an individual basis. But when you look at the overall portfolio, when you go back to last summer when Tom Stillman told us that this team, this Blues team for 23-24, his exact words were, we're not going to be elite. And then when you go back to Doug Armstrong's comment in his last press conference before the regular season started, and somebody asked him, what do you expect from this team? And he said, I hope that we can battle for the third playoff spot in the Central Division. I hope we can be in the middle of the middle third. Here we are, Brooke, with a 32-team league, right? We're 32 now, right, in the NHL. And the Blues are 15th. So they're squarely in the middle of the middle third, exactly what he said he expected they would be. If we look at it from that perspective, I think you have to be happy with it because that's what we were told we were going to get. We weren't sold a bill of goods. We weren't told, hey, this team is a Stanley Cup contender. We weren't told we're going to battle for a division crown. We were told we hope that we can battle for a playoff spot, and we want to finish in the middle because that's what we expect. We aren't going to be a rebuilding team, but we also aren't going to be the best team. What we got is what we were told we were going to get, and with that being my expectation at the beginning of the season, because they told me that, I'm happy with what the Blues have accomplished.
I think that it's fine. Also, I think there is some positives. Before I get to the negative point of this, I want to point out some positives. One, the goalie tandem of Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer has been fantastic this season. You know, that's something to look forward to moving on. Now, I know that Elliot Friedman has, and I brought out that, a few weeks ago, that Elliot Friedman has tried to float out the idea that they should trade Jordan Binnington, and that's his own personal opinion. I think that's important to note here is that that's his own personal opinion, because I think that he's looking at more of a full-blown rebuild for the Blues. I think that with the young talent that you have coming up, you have that goalie tandem going on, that you can still stay in a competitive retool, and I think that's how the Blues view this as well. You have a lot of young talent. Jake Neighbors has just been a revelation this season. Would you have expected 27 goals from him?
No.
And he's only going to get better. And you've had a lot of guys who are taking on bigger roles than they ever have before. I think that's another positive. We talked about Robert Thomas, the way that he was able to take major step forward this season, but he's also done that every single season. And oh, by the way, he's been pretty much healthy the entire season, which is something that has kind of been an issue for him in the past. He was able to stay healthy while taking on more ice time and taking on that number one centerman role. And so that's a huge part for him, and I think the success for the Blues this season. Colin Parayko, fully healthy this season. He took on a bigger role. Now, one of the things is, and Kerb's brought this up as well, there's still some missing pieces here. One, defensively, it feels like they still need something there. They need to be a tougher group. They need maybe some bigger guys. So that's going to be a big challenge for Army this offseason. And you need another center. You need another number 2 center for this team. I like Pavel Buchnevich that he has the willingness to step into that role at times, but they need a true centerman for this team to at least move forward and be better.
A number 2 center is a priority. You hit the nail on the head. A big rugged defenseman and a legit number 2 center. And that'll go a long way towards helping this team out. I really think, Brooke, that they expected that Snuggerud was going to arrive on the scene, and not having him prevents them probably from making some of the moves internally perhaps like having Buchnevich as their number 2 center that they wanted to make, because I think Buchnevich ultimately and Shen ultimately at this stage of his career, they're both more than serviceable players. Buchnevich is a really good player, but I don't think either of them are number 2 centers. And I think we've seen pretty clearly that Kevin Hayes isn't that guy. God love Sonny, but he's not that guy. So you really have a void there beyond Thomas to your number 3 center. So that's something that you're really missing.
From the through and four, and I think this is a really good point. In all honesty, 90 points for this team is pretty good. I think what frustrates most fans with this team is the lackluster performances against some of the lesser teams. And that's where it goes back to what we were just talking about. That's what felt like it was missing at times, where if you had a more rugged defenseman that was a part of this team and maybe a true number 2 centerman, then you would be able to push forward past some of that, because it was frustrating. There was times where they looked completely fantastic and you're like, wow, this team is really talented with its young players. They can do a lot. And then they would just go and lay an egg against, say, Columbus, or for whatever reason, the San Jose Sharks were just a huge issue for the Blues this season. And you can't drop games like that whatsoever.
And Kerbs referenced it, and yesterday during the broadcast, Chaser referenced it. The Blues need to find some high-character, high-performance players that aren't going to disappear and wilt when things are going poorly. One other point I wanted to make, Brooke, before we wrap this up, and I think we all agree, right, in the room that we're, and the texters too, we're pretty happy with the performance. Jordan Kyrou, in February, March, and April, in 32 games, has 17 goals and 13 assists. He's got 30 points, 17 goals and 30 points in his last 32 games. Now, he's a -7 in those games, but there's a lot that goes into that, to plus minus. You can take it or leave the plus minus stat. But in the last 3 months of the season, the production has been there for Kyrou. Sometimes you don't like when it comes, because it comes in a roller coaster at times. Yep.
Yes.
But if you just, again, look at it from a 5,000-foot view and you say, okay, if I can play 32 games, let's see, 15, 25, 32 games and get 30 points, 17 goals, I'll take that.
Yeah. I would take that. And he has a 6-game point streak going on, which he has scored 6 goals and 9 points. And right now he has 31 goals on the season. I just think that the biggest thing with Jordan Kyrou, he is very talented and obviously very skilled. I think the biggest thing, I just want to see it on a more consistent basis. And he is able to do that. And maybe this is who he is, where he's more of a streaky scorer. And you like the streak that he has going on now. But sometimes the consistency thing was just my own frustration with him during the course of the season.
He had 4 goals in his first 22 games. So that's a quarter of the season where he was on pace for 16 goals.
And there was a lot going on there too.
There was, with the coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm buying Jordan Kyrou right now. That's the point I was trying to make. But I also want, and I know the Blues have good passers on their team, but I want a number 2 center that can set up that second line, that second 6.
So wish list right now, and this is a pretty big one because all this stuff doesn't grow on trees. You want a rugged defenseman, and you need a true number 2 center, and you need a personality hire, because I think that maybe that's what Kevin Hayes was supposed to be for this group. Is there a way that one of those could also be one of the other things?
Yes. Absolutely.
But that's going to be so tough to come across.
And the defenseman, man, we'll just have to take a look at free agency and possible trades and who might be on the block and see if they can find that guy. Because the Blues do have some assets, and I know that they're saying that we're sticking with the program, but if you go back to what Army said last year, finding that player between 24 and 28, Sanheim was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
Find that mid-range guy that can grow with this group of players. There might be a trade for the Blues out there somewhere. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up on 101 ESPN, a win for St. Louis City SC, and they needed one. That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey guys, I want you to know about Mentality. It's a breakthrough treatment to help men regain normal function and restore your ability to perform normally at all levels. And this includes the energy level to walk 18 holes of golf, or to get all the way through a workout, or to not come home and sit on the couch and just crash after a day at work. And these are all things that happen as we get older, and we think, oh, it's because we're older. Well, not necessarily, because when you pass your 30th birthday, your testosterone level drops. And when your testosterone level drops, your energy level drops. If you go to Mentality in Chesterfield or South County, their board-certified physicians are going to test you for where your testosterone level is. They're going to do a complete panel on your blood work. And then when they find out where your testosterone level is, they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will allow you to get back to where you were in your 20s in terms of your testosterone level. It really is a remarkable thing at Mentality. You can learn more at lowtusa.com. They're going to work with your insurance company to make it easy for you. Get started now and get your energy level back at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose 2 of 3 in Arizona in ignominious fashion, and they will have a series against the Oakland A's starting tonight. 8:40 will be the first pitch. It'll be Sonny Gray in his second ever Cardinal start, facing off against fellow righty Ross Stripling. For the A's, Stripling on the season is 0-3 with a 5.50 ERA. The Blues go 500 on the weekend, their playoff hopes being dashed with a Friday loss to Carolina. They can get a big 4-1 win over the Kraken yesterday, and they will face off against Dallas on Wednesday to close out the regular season. MLS action, STL City SC gets a 1-0 win over Austin FC. The Battlehawks get another win in the UFL, with a 31-24 win over the San Antonio Brahmas, a former XFL clash in the XFL conference for the UFL. And in the Masters, Scottie Scheffler, his second green jacket as he wins the Masters at 11 under for his second win of his career. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find a Rosen Shop, Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Second-year MLS midfielder. That's a terrific ball to the foot of Topland, who continues on. 5 into the attack for St. Louis City. Rasmus Alm plays centrally. John Klauss, there it is! The long wait is over!
Yeah, I just want to dedicate this goal for my wife. It's my wife's birthday today, so she's the woman that is always with me, giving me the support in the good moments and even more in the tough moments. So yeah, for her, for my parents, and yeah, also for Edu.
We had to wait till her birthday, huh?
I was about to say, we need to come up with some more occasions here. Isn't Mother's Day right around the corner?
You guys kind of sounded like yesterday during the post-game press conference, somebody asked Carnell if he was aware that Lutz predicted that Klauss would score this game. Carnell's reaction was, he should have predicted one earlier.
We need this to happen more often. Mother's Day is coming up, so just keep
there we go.
guaranteeing her more goals. And happy birthday, Mrs. Klauss.
Yeah. Mrs. Klauss. Oh, sweet.
No.
Yeah. So she does so much with those elves.
Oh, I knew that was coming, Randy.
Yeah,
I knew. I was waiting.
on.
It took a second.
Okay.
There was a pregnant pause there, but I knew it was coming.
Okay. One disappointment for me,
Okay.
and it doesn't have to do with the game, it has to do with our reporting of the game, is that Matthew just said a 1-0 victory.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, get it right.
1-0.
Don't you have a soccer podcast? You know it's 1-0.
But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this stupid game. All right. If the only thing we're stealing from the Europeans is how we name our clubs, then that's the only thing we're going to steal. If we're not going to actually do things like they do with, open transfers and budgets that, owners can actually, pour money into, and we're going to do all these stupid roster rules, then I'm drawing the line now. We're not doing any of the European stuff.
Okay. Back to the match. There was a lot of offensive possession time in the offensive zone in the second half for SC. I thought it was interesting, by the way, that the announcers on Fox, was on Fox, right? They were very critical of City SC, even though we had possession and were in attack mode. Austin, and I asked Matthew about this earlier, Austin was way worse than St. Louis was, but St. Louis got the bulk of the criticism from the broadcasters, and I'm rational about this. I love St. Louis and St. Louis City SC, but I just thought that not that they were rooting for Austin, I just thought they were very, very critical of St. Louis City SC and the SC approach, Cardinals approach.
Well, not necessarily focusing too much on their comedy, but more on what you're saying about their comedy and what you felt like you saw from a game which City dominated, which is fascinating to me because this is why, one, the eye test is still a thing, and two, why Carnell always makes comments about how he doesn't care about possession. Because you were right. City dominated that game. They had 40% of the possession.
Wow.
Possession that actually is dangerous, possession that actually causes other defenses to get on their back heels and freak out a little bit to clear it. That's possession that actually matters. A lot of Austin's possession was pretty pointless. Possession that matters is what's key. City wins those games. City wins that most games, and that was another game. Again, they gave up 60% possession, but you never felt like Austin actually was possessing that game.
No.
I have a question, and I thought this was a very interesting quote from Bradley Carnell yesterday because the game, they didn't have Sam Adeniran in the game, okay? So you obviously noticed his absence, and he was asked about it, and he said, the focus for me today was on the players that were here on the roster and emptied their tank for us. I thought that was a really interesting quote. I don't know what is the takeaway from that? Because it kind of seems like he might be calling him out a little bit, but to me, Sam Adeniran is a player that I see that seems like he's emptying the tank. I don't know if there's something else going on during practice or something like that. I thought that was a very interesting quote.
So going on during training.
So I understand why it jumps out to people. I will say that's kind of just Carnell's. This is the way he talks, and
Okay.
when you knew that question was going to come up, and you probably could have written Carnell's answer ahead of time, which was because if you look at other ways he answers questions, people are trying to ask him, "What did you think of what Austin did?" And he's like, "Well, I want to talk about what my players on the field did, not what other people did." People try to ask him, "What did Klauss do differently?" He goes, "I want to talk about this being a team effort, not what Klauss did individually." Carnell hates talking about individual players, and so when you ask him what's the deal with Sam today, him saying, "I want to talk about the players that gave it all," was still him trying to draw praise onto the players that played. But there is something going on.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
you're not wrong.
He's being directly asked about the absence of Sam Adeniran, and then you hear him say that we want guys out there who basically want to empty the tank for us. And I feel like Adeniran might be one of those guys. But then again, I don't know what's going on during the training. Excuse me, Randy. I said practice.
Empty the tank part is about Sam. I think that's him deflecting it towards the other players. But you are 100% correct in that there is something going on. I just think that you got to separate that from the way he was answering that question, because that question and the way he answers questions, that part of the question I 100% believe was only towards pumping up the other players. But there is an issue with Sam not being on the bench at all for this game. That means something's going on. And the fact of the matter is Sam was scoring. He didn't have the drought that Klauss had. He was scoring a little bit more, and yet Klauss has been getting the starts the last couple weeks. And so you have to ask questions of, what's going on in training, who's not happy about their quality in training, who's not happy about the minutes potentially they're getting with how much they are giving in training. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are definitely going on, but we don't know because Carnell's good at keeping his cards close to the vest.
Is this how big is this win? And it's only the second one for City. They're tied with LAFC and Minnesota for the 6th, 7th, 8th spot in the conference. They're only 4 points out of the lead in the conference, but how big is this win?
It's huge. I mean, you got to get 3 points at home games, and you got to get 3 points when you're playing a team like Austin that you, in my opinion, are simply better than. So after especially dropping 2 points in the draw against Dallas the week before, you had to get 3 points at home against an Austin team, especially when you consider the fact that you're now going across to Kansas City to face off against Sporting KC. And that's Sporting Kansas, and that's going to be a huge win as well. This was an undeniably huge win. They had to get all 3 points in a game from home out of one of these two. In my opinion, they needed to get 6 because the schedule after this is going to turn pretty tough for a little bit.
And that's the thing, is that they really needed to take advantage of a truly terrible Austin FC attacking performance, and you were able to get your second consecutive, if we want to be even more technical here. I mean, the same thing, but I just want to be fancy about it. Second consecutive clean sheet. There we go. Roman Berkey.
And Roman Berkey didn't have to make a save. They didn't put a shot on target. So Roman had a much easier day, and it was hot.
Finally.
Too. It was hot. So you gave him a little bit of a break. I liked that for him.
Hey, clean sheet's a clean sheet. He deserves all the credit in the world for that, even if he didn't have to do much.
Unless it's a scoreless draw. And then as you can tell from his comments, he's not as happy about those clean sheets.
And hopefully the St. Louligans and everybody will make their way across the state and into Kansas for the match against Sporting Kansas on Saturday, because we'd like to take over their building, and we're a point ahead of them in the standings. So good job yesterday by St. Louis City SC. Great job. Good to see Klauss back in the goal column, and congratulations to Berkey.
There we go.
Awesome. Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, we're going to give away a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Cardinals game against the Diamondbacks. We've got that for you, and Rocc Roll here on 101 ESPN. I am such big fans of Chesterfield Fence and Deck, such great people, locally owned and operated for 56 years in St. Louis. And if you're getting an outdoor project done, I urge you to get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck at 800-300-4054 or on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. And if you mention the show, mention Randy Carricker 101 ESPN, get 20% off your next installed outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They do amazing jobs with fences and decks. I got my fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and it's fantastic. But it's not just them. If you want to get a sunroom or a screen room installed, they do amazing work. And in addition to that, they'll do pergolas, they'll do retaining walls. They just do fantastic work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And they have fantastic employees that do great work for them. They take a great deal of pride in their work. Great salespeople that are going to be low pressure. They'll come out, provide a free, no obligation project design. You will love Chesterfield Fence and Deck. 800-300-4054 on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign. You have the very best.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
It is time for Rock and Roll. And 101 ESPN is your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash game for the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. Next week is the first Bud Bash game of the season, and it features a limited edition Jeff Suppan bobblehead.
Oh, no. No, that's not. No, Randy.
Jeff Suppan?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Jeff Suppan is going to be in town.
There
He's going to be signing autographs, and he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. So you'll enjoy that. Text in now to 314-399-9646, 314-399-9646. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, we'll do it here. Let's fix this. Text in now to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And you can win Budweiser tickets by answering this question.
Question. What is the question, Rocc?
Do you want to use a different one?
Keeper of the questions.
I've got one for you.
Okay, you got a better one? Go for it.
Keeper of the questions.
The Cardinals are playing the Oakland Athletics, right? Mm-hmm. They're playing them tonight, tomorrow night, and on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The Cardinals received Matt Holliday from the Oakland Athletics in 2009. July 24th was the date of that deal. The question is, what former Cardinal first-round draft choice was the key to that deal for Oakland? When the Cardinals traded for Matt Holliday, what former first-round draft choice was the key to the trade for the Athletics? Ooh. Text in, and we'll do texter number... When Matt got here, he was number 15. So we'll do texter number 15, and you can win the Budweiser Bash tickets for Cardinals and Diamondbacks on April 23rd. Get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinal games now at cardinals.com/promotions.
Texter number 15.
Texter number 15. Let me make sure that I have this taken care of for everybody that needs it taken care of. And that means I need to use my... I'm working slowly but surely here. Okay, what do we have for rock and roll?
Slow is steady. Oh, no, slow is smooth and smooth is fast, Randy.
I got it.
Slow is smooth.
Slow is smooth.
And smooth is fast.
Smooth is fast. So slow is fast.
That's what I'm trying to get
Slow
after.
is fast.
Something about that doesn't seem right.
No, that doesn't.
No, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you do something a little bit slower, you'll do it smoother, and that'll actually be faster than if you were rushing to get it done. So actually going slower is faster than going fast.
You ever had a bad intern?
Yes.
So, like, if you have a bad intern, you put the job in their hands, right? And you say, okay, do this. And if they're good, then it's smooth and it gets done quickly. If they're a bad intern, then it doesn't get done, and then you have to take the time that you could have just done it yourself after they mess it up, and you have to do it. So I get where you're coming from with that.
I had an intern once, and I'm sure you have a lot more intern stories, but I had an intern once where he came in, and I was like, okay, you want to be a sportscaster, you want to be a sports reporter, and this was back in my TV days, and I was so long ago, back in my day, back in my TV days, and he was like, yeah, I want to be a sports broadcaster. I was like, okay, well, how about we start with, I'm a hands-on person, and that's how I learned during my internship. I was like, here, I'm going to start editing the show. Come over here, and I'll show you how to do it. And he's like, oh, no, I don't want to learn how to do that. And I said, well,
holy cow.
That's kind of a part of what you need to do. And he was like, no, I don't want to learn how to do any of that with the editing portion or the writing portion. And I would keep trying to hey, this is, how you put a story in, all different kind of stuff. And I tried to explain to him, you need to be as versatile as possible, especially in this industry. You need to know how to shoot, write, edit, present on all different media platforms. That is an essential part of a sports broadcaster nowadays. And he had no interest.
Brooke, I would have
He just wanted to sit there.
I would have checked out on him immediately.
I might have. I might have. Because I'm not going to force somebody. It's my time.
Right.
I'm not going to force somebody to
if they don't want to learn,
pay attention.
Well, that's what they're there for, is to learn. If they don't want to learn, screw it.
I was shocked. I was like, what is the
stunning.
purpose of this then?
But there did reach a point, and it was unbelievable how Kerbs, Danny Mac, Amsinger, the people that you knew were going to be really good and stars were the hardest workers right off the bat. And they didn't, Greg couldn't wait to be a producer for a show. Kerbs too couldn't wait to get involved and start doing stuff, and never said, I don't want to learn that. Everybody that turned out to be good for me wanted to be a really hard worker. Scott Adamek, Mike Caruso, everybody that turned out being good was a hard worker right off the bat.
And honestly, that is the biggest difference. If there is younger people who are listening, or this goes in any walk of life and whatever job that you're doing, sometimes you don't have to have the talent, the skill. That's something you can work on, you can grow. You have to have the want to. That's the difference maker. That's the thing that will set you apart, taking that extra step.
If you're skipping class right now, going to breakfast, keep this in mind. Before you leave, when you finish a project, go to your superior and say, I finished this, what can I do next? And before you leave at night or during the day, go to your superior and say, I'm getting ready to go. Is there anything else I can do? That will differentiate you in 2024 from everybody else that you're competing with, is if you show them that you want to work. All right, Matthew, sorry about that.
But we kind of hijacked that, didn't we? Sorry. Yeah. We got all philosophical there.
Yeah. Should I just complain about something?
Sure,
should I do a mini hill here and say what I had? No, I have something happy. I have something happy. No, I want everyone to hear the story. I want to take you to Los Angeles, California last night, where a gentle giant by the name of Boban Marjanovic decided to walk down his beanstalk and bless the city of Los Angeles, California, with free chicken, as Boban Marjanovic took to the free throw line last night with a 105-97 win for the lead for the Houston Rockets over the home LA Clippers. The Clippers have a promotion. If an opposing player misses 2 free throws in a row when they go to the line, you get a free chicken sandwich. Boban Marjanovic again stepped to the line, 105-97, and the gentlest giant that has ever been in the NBA. If you have not watched the NBA in the last 10 years, you have missed many great things. You have missed the rise of Steph Curry, the greatness of Kevin Durant, but the greatest thing you have missed is that Boban Marjanovic has blessed us with his presence. You also might know Boban if you're not an NBA fan. If you ever watch any of the John Wick movies, he's the giant dude who gets a book crushed into his jaw by John Wick in the second movie. That's Boban Marjanovic. So he steps to the line, he misses his first free throw, and then he hears a cacophony of chants raining from the LA Clippers fans asking him to miss the free throw. He then, I have no idea, picks up on what's going on fairly quickly and goes, "You want me to miss the free throw? I'll miss the free throw." He then purposely misses the second free throw. LA erupts because everyone gets a free chicken sandwich. And my personal hero for everybody over the height of 7'3", Boban Marjanovic. Sorry, Victor, you're still number 2. My personal hero does it again, as everyone gets a free chicken sandwich. I love Boban, and I hope he plays forever.
And it was Chick-fil-A chicken, I believe.
Even better.
I
didn't know they were allowed to have that in LA.
That's awesome.
I love when players get involved in that kind of stuff. First of all, all arenas should have more of these kind of promotions.
Yes.
Like these kind of promotions are the best kind of promotions. Like things like if you hold the team under 100, everyone gets a free taco. Because in those games where there's 2 minutes left and the team's at 96, those are the most electric 2 minutes that you will get that entire season. So more of these kind of things. And also, I just think that the NBA should have a perpetual roster spot that is free for a team to have Boban Marjanovic on their roster until he's like 55. Because the man doesn't need to jump to dunk, so I feel like he could play for pretty long.
I love him. He's
play until he's 55. Yep. I'm pretty sure he might already be 55 by the way he looks in the first place. Just let him keep playing until he doesn't want to anymore. Boban should have a permanent place in the NBA. Bring him in for the last 30 seconds of every game.
So, guys, when I worked at Costello Service at Busch Stadium and at the old arena, there was Billiken basketball that was played there. And for every Billiken win, you got a free burger at the best burger place I've ever been to. It was called Thermer's. It's not in business anymore. Norb Thermer was the name. It was over by the brewery. Best burgers I've ever had. And when you took a ticket stub in
That's awesome.
to Thermer's after a Billiken win, you got a free burger.
Oh, wait. Well, now the problem is you got to show a QR code or something.
Well, guess who was a ticket taker back in the day?
Oh, Randy.
No.
Guess who had stacks of 100 ticket stubs?
They didn't have a limit. They weren't like, this is a little fishy
I
here.
would take my gang in. Yeah. So,
there you go.
5 or 6 people. We were all at the Billiken game, so. Those burgers were tremendous.
Randy, there's a comedian I know who revealed a few years ago that he and his friends used to sue each other on Court TV because if you go on Court TV, you don't have to pay out the settlement. Court TV pays out the settlement. If the person wins, so him and his friends would sue each other on Court TV to get the settlement paid out.
Brilliant.
They would just make stuff up, and I'm like, "That's Randy. It's all about gaming the system. That's the name. That's what it's about in this life. Yeah. Game the system a little bit."
I was a good ticket taker.
Remember those people who found a way to break the Monopoly game for McDonald's?
Yeah,
cheat the system, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's we did work the system. Did we get a winner? I'm sure we did.
Yes, we did.
So we
got a winner. I just don't have the name yet.
The former first round draft choice that was the key for the Athletics in the trade for Matt Holliday was Brett Wallace.
I was so worried he was going to be good.
Yeah, me too.
I like when the Cardinals traded prospects who everyone else wanted that ended up not being anything.
And our buddy TJ Matthews, who's listening right now because he listens to every minute of every show. We love him. TJ Matthews, along with Eric Ludwig, Ryan Ludwig's brother, and Blake Stein were the 3 that the Cardinals traded for Mark McGwire. And it was Clayton Mortensen, Brett Wallace, Shane Robinson. Shane Robinson for Matt Holliday. Shane Peterson. There you go. Shane Peterson for Matt Holliday. So now you know via radio. We've got a balloon party coming up. Tim McKernan is already around.
Is he really?
Yeah, T-Mac and Ajax are coming up. And we thank our producer, audio, video engineer, Matthew Rocchio, for doing a magnificent job today. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, great to have you back.
Yes, I am back.
8 more weeks.
Stop. Randy.
8 more weeks.
Randy, after you did that, I've been panicking this entire show because I realized it was soon, but then I didn't put into the perspective of how many weeks away it was. And so then I've been texting David in a full-on panic.
Yeah, 54
this morning.
days.
Thanks.
Sorry. I won't do it again. I won't do it again until tomorrow.
Stop. It's distracting me.
But did you have fun even though you were in a panic?
Yeah, no, I'm in a panic now. And now I want to stress eat even though I said this was going to be the last weekend of eating bad.
Just drink water. Well, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Monday, St. Louis.
That's right.
Hey, you know, advertising is going the route of digital. It's going the route of social media. And right here in our building, we have the best people to do social media